Chapter 88. Thousands of years ago and thousands of years later, seeking first subscription. Above the clouds. Lin Yuan faced 35 divine soldiers alone. Compared to the towering divine soldiers that stood shoulder to shoulder with the mountains, Lin Yuan seemed exceptionally minuscule, like a speck of dust. Yet even under the terrifying pressure of the divine soldiers, Lin Yuan still hovered in the air, without showing any signs of irregularity. Who is that? He actually rushed up to the divine soldiers? Is he seeking death? Upon seeing this scene, the emperors of the Central Plains' 36 kingdoms all furrowed their brows. Even when the divine soldiers from their side had just swallowed their soldiers, it had only caused them a moment of distress. They almost didn't care at all. It wasn't just the swallowing of 30 to 50,000 soldiers. If all their soldiers were consumed, as long as they could completely crush the defying divine society, the emperors all felt it would be worth it. For the royal families of the 36 kingdoms, soldiers were like leeks, with a new batch able to quickly grow after one is harvested. As long as their status could be maintained, everything else could be tolerated. It's the master of the defying divine society. Is that the emperor of the Greater Yin? Indeed, the Greater Yin dynasty has a significant relationship with the defying divine society, perhaps even behind it. The Flame Emperor, what does he want to do? Declare war on the divine soldiers? But have you noticed? The nation-protecting divine weapon of the Greater Yin dynasty hasn't appeared. Countless people looked up to the sky, including those within and outside the Five Peaks battlefield. The decisive battle between the Central Plains' 36 kingdoms and the defying divine society attracted the attention of every being in this world, such as some hidden world cultivators, and even the consciousnesses within fragments of divine weapons. The great battle of the divine soldiers 8,000 years ago resulted in 64 divine weapons being shattered, falling into the four corners of the world. Some of the divine weapon fragments, unwilling to accept their defeat, became evil soldiers, stirring up trouble in the world upon reappearing. Others, thoroughly disheartened, believed that the 36 nation-protecting divine weapons were invincible and thus remained in hiding. And to most beings, the defying divine society represented the losers of old, many evil soldiers. But now the appearance of the Flame Emperor undoubtedly surprised most beings. Leaving aside whether Lin Yuan could contend with the 35 divine soldiers, merely his current stance, disregarding the pressure from the 35 divine soldiers, was enough to indicate that this emperor of the Greater Yin had strength far beyond the limits of the human race of this world. Keep in mind, even they, the evil soldiers, faced with the 35 divine soldiers that had already completed their transformation, also trembled with unease and wished they could burrow into holes to hide. Master. Can our master win? On the battlefield, the Splitting Heaven Axe and many other evil soldiers refined by Lin Yuan couldn't help but wonder. They had once felt Lin Yuan's strength up close, and it was indeed extremely powerful. Equating him with a true divine weapon was not an overstatement. But now Lin Yuan was facing not just one divine weapon, but 35 of them, and they had taken that final step. Especially the likes of the top four, who even 8,000 years ago were far stronger than the other divine weapons, let alone now. Above the clouds, under the vast sky, the 35 divine weapons were clearly taken aback. Their colossal psychic fluctuations kept sweeping over Lin Yuan. But what was strange was that all psychic fluctuations, upon approaching within 3 feet of him, were all devoured by some force. It was as if Lin Yuan himself was a black hole, capable of absorbing everything that came near. Interesting. Are you really of the human race? A knife-shaped divine weapon that seemed to be trodden upon by a real dragon emitted psychic waves, tinged with curiosity. For 10,000 years in their eyes, the human race had always been food, so the sudden appearance of an enigma like him was indeed a curiosity. Regardless of whether you are of the human race, I can feel the vastness in you, like an ocean of chi and blood. Swallowing you might allow me to advance another step. Another divine weapon emitted greedy psychic waves. Boom. A force of divine soldiers descended silently. Lin Yuan looked on calmly, now just his gaze towards the 35 divine soldiers felt like observing some fundamental nature of the world. Since you've all arrived. Come in then. Lin Yuan raised his right hand. The force from the divine soldiers dissipated into nothing. Not just that. A terrifying aura suddenly erupted. The vast and expansive Five Peaks battlefield now burst forth with streams of aura, and a giant cage began to take form. 10 years earlier, Lin Yuan, following the steps of ancient godly beings, walked the world and entered the 4th rank in the first year. By understanding the fundamental rules of this realm and reaching the 4th rank, Lin Yuan gained deeper insight into the world. He also vaguely sensed that the nation protecting divine weapons of the other 35 kingdoms were close to a breakthrough. Lin Yuan had tried using his 4th rank strength to squat down and suppress those 35 divine weapons one by one. But these divine weapons were cautious, and with Lin Yuan's strength, while he could have quickly suppressed 5 or 6 of them, it would undoubtedly alert and drive away the rest. In order to capture them all in one fell swoop, Lin Yuan deduced the great trends of the world and quietly maneuvered the war between the defying divine society and the 35 kingdoms, setting their decisive battleground at the 5 Peaks. The 5 Peaks battlefield was located at the central position of the Central Plains' 36 kingdoms, next to rivers and streams. Lin Yuan spent 8 years traversing every corner of the 5 Peaks battlefield, setting up nodes. He transformed the entire 5 Peaks battlefield into a kind of furnace, only waiting for the 35 divine weapons to gather here and consume the beings of both sides. Then he could utilize the furnace to form, and thereafter, suppress the 35 divine weapons. Boom boom boom. The terrifying presence came from all directions. Lin Yuan had spent 8 years of his life, forsaking cultivation and sudden enlightenment, placing all his energy on the 5 sacred mountains furnace. At this moment, it suddenly erupted, and its might nearly reached the late 4th rank, its aura causing the 35 divine weapons to tremble. What is this? This is bad, let's get out of here. Upon witnessing this scene, the 35 divine weapons all began to quiver with spiritual fluctuations. For 10,000 years, aside from that ancient godly being, they had never feared anything, not even during the great battle of the divine weapons 8,000 years ago when they emerged as the victors. But now, sensing the overwhelming presence from the entire battlefield of the 5 sacred mountains, all the divine weapons were scared. The 35 divine weapons, without a second thought, scattered in all directions, attempting to flee. On the ground, all those who witnessed this scene were stunned. They hadn't yet recovered from the shift in the atmosphere of the 5 sacred mountains battlefield. Then they saw the 35 esteemed divine weapons flee in panic. Everyone's eyes widened, and it took a long while for them to regain their composure. It turns out, even the exalted divine weapons that stood high in the eyes of all creatures had their day of flight. Impossible. Divine weapons are invincible. How could they flee? In the rear of the 36 nations, the emperors of various dynasties were filled with disbelief. They were all waiting to kneel and welcome the descent of the divine weapons, and now the divine weapons were fleeing? If the divine weapons fled, what should they do? Thinking of leaving now? It's too late. A smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. If it were just now when Lin Yuan had appeared, the 35 divine weapons might have chosen to return to heaven and earth, possibly escaping before the 5 sacred mountains furnace completely sealed off the realm. But in Lin Yuan's deductions, this possibility was almost zero. After all, returning to heaven and earth for the divine weapons was almost equivalent to being reforged. Their consciousness and memories would be washed away by heaven and earth, which was only slightly better than complete obliteration. How could these divine weapons, having just completed their metamorphosis and not yet enjoyed any benefits, choose such an extreme approach upon encountering an inscrutable person? And just as Lin Yuan had predicted, even when sensing danger, not a single one of the 35 divine weapons chose to return to heaven and earth. Rise. Lin Yuan's thoughts moved once again. The vast Taiji field quickly spread. After advancing to the 4th rank, Lin Yuan's Taiji field gained a huge enhancement once again. The path of Taiji is not limited to Taiyin and Taiyang. It is centered around Taiyin and Taiyang, encompassing all the Tao of the world. This is also why Lin Yuan could continue to improve by comprehending the essence of the rules within other evil soldiers. Break. Among the 35 divine weapons, the tower-shaped one suddenly halted. Its red light flared up as if a great sun burst forth all its light and heat in an instant. The void boiled over, and the sky for hundreds of miles seemed to be boiled all at once, with a misty aura enveloping the entire battlefield of the 5 sacred mountains like clouds. The temperature within hundreds of miles rose, and even for the blood refinement martial saint, the air they breathed through their nostrils seemed to have turned into burning coal, unbearably hot. The terrifying heat exploded, and in an instant, it shattered a portion of the furnace's shape, enveloping it within several miles. Water. Seeing this, Lin Yuan reached out again, and the river water outside the 5 sacred mountains battlefield was immediately drawn forth. Great amounts of river water evaporated, quickly blocking the intense heat from the tower-shaped divine weapon. This is bad. Seeing this, the tower-shaped divine weapon became heavy with thought. Because at this moment, the aura from countless nodes within the 5 sacred mountains battlefield all came together. The endless interplay of light and shadow, qi, and the power of heaven and earth outlined a taiji furnace that displayed black and white colors. It formed with a thunderous rumble. The 35 divine weapons, without any exceptions, were all engulfed within the taiji furnace. Suspended below the vast sky, the taiji furnace towered 100 miles high, spanning like a colossal entity. Roaring sounds continued to emerge from within the furnace, indicating that the 35 divine weapons had not given up and were still struggling. But with time, this struggle grew increasingly weaker. The 36 divine weapons, all captured in my pot. Lin Yuan stepped out and sat atop the furnace. Then a spear-shaped divine weapon engraved with the sun and moon flew out, willingly entering the furnace. All the 36 divine weapons emerged from heaven and earth. To facilitate comprehension, Lin Yuan unhesitatingly placed the sun and moon spear inside as well. Next is suppression and enlightenment. Lin Yuan sat down cross-legged, calming his mind. The divine weapons have been suppressed? On the ground, everyone who witnessed this scene, whether human or the consciousness of evil soldiers, were all struck by an overwhelming shock. 10,000 years ago, an ancient godly being walked the world, sacrificing mountains and rivers, melting the 4 seas, forging 100 weapons. Majestically for 10,000 years, all creatures bowed their heads. 10,000 years later, a young emperor sat high in the heavens, cooking the rivers, refining the 5 sacred mountains, subduing the 36 weapons. With his resplendent heavenly might, all spirits looked up in reverence. Chapter 89. Divine Weapon Shattered. Subscribe please. The 36 divine weapons are not merely divine weapons. They are also part of some complete essence of rules. If it were someone else, even if they had the strength to suppress the divine weapons, it would be difficult for them to benefit from them. After all, the essence of the realm's rules, even if explicitly shown, is hard for ordinary people to comprehend much. It's like a complex mathematical problem. Even if the solution process is fully written out, others might not be able to understand it. 10,000 years ago, that ancient godly being literally split the 100 divine weapons from heaven and earth, and then took the opportunity to comprehend them, benefiting greatly. But Lin Yuan was different. With his against heaven's understanding, comprehending such things came naturally to Lin Yuan. This time I've made a big gain. Lin Yuan's consciousness descended into the taiji furnace. It could be said that his biggest gain from this journey was the divine weapons of this world. As for the rest, far from comparing to the fundamental great Tao of rule essence. It's a pity that these divine weapons originate from this world and can't be taken away. Lin Yuan felt somewhat regretful. He wasn't coveting the divine weapons' power, as there were many weapons in the main world whose might far exceeded that of the divine weapons. The divine weapons contain the essence of the world's rules. If he could take them back to the main world, then sell them or submit them to the goddess of wisdom, he would definitely make a huge profit. After all, other citizens, even if they couldn't comprehend the divine weapons as completely as Lin Yuan, would definitely spend a lot of money to buy them if they were even slightly touched by them. However, since the divine weapons are expressions of this world's rules, they would dissipate once they left this world. If it were not so, Lin Yuan at any cost would have attempted it. Although he descended in consciousness to this world, the door to the myriad realms was able to take back items from the worlds it traversed by accumulating energy. However, how much energy was needed, Lin Yuan did not know. Forget it. Let's fully comprehend the essence of the rules and all the divine weapons first. Lin Yuan gathered his thoughts and began to carefully comprehend. The entire taiji furnace was an extension of his 5 senses. With just a thought from Lin Yuan, he could feel the position of any of the 36 divine weapons inside. Compared to Lin Yuan, who was deeply comprehending the divine weapons, the surface of the Wuyu battlefield was completely erupting into chaos. How can the Flame Emperor be so powerful? Those are complete divine weapons. Even the divine weapons have been suppressed by the Flame Emperor. Should we continue to fight with the defying divine society? On the side of the 35 kingdoms, countless people looked up at the sky, gazing at the 100-mile furnace stretching between heaven and earth. This scene was too inconceivable. No one could imagine how the Flame Emperor managed to do this, and the shock in their hearts was imaginable. Actually, surrendering to Greater Yen might not be a bad thing. At least our descendants won't be devoured by divine weapons in the future. Someone suddenly had this thought. In the past, with divine weapons ruling, they wouldn't dare to have such thoughts even if they had 10 times or 100 times the courage. But now, the divine weapons looming over their heads had already been suppressed, meaning that even if they were exploited in the future, they wouldn't have to worry about being devoured. Impossible. I don't believe it. This is all an illusion. Everything is an illusion. The emperors of the 35 kingdoms were falling apart. They had staked everything on the divine weapons. They even actively instigated a decisive battle with the defying divine society, just waiting for the divine weapons to finally act and sweep away everything. And now they were told that the divine weapons were swept away? Not only swept away but suppressed by the Flame Emperor, not one escaped, extinguishing the last hope of turning the game around for these emperors. Gentlemen, at this moment an older emperor slowly began to speak. What we need to consider now is how to deal with the defying divine society and the greater Yan dynasty, he said. The emperor sighed. As soon as these words were spoken, all the emperors fell silent. Why don't we surrender? The emperor of the Great Chu dynasty tentatively asked. In fact, this was what most of the emperors were thinking. Though the lands and heritage handed down by our ancestors should not be discarded lightly, now, facing both the greater Yan dynasty and the defying divine society, these 35 nations had no trump cards left. Not to mention anything else, just the power displayed by the emperor of Greater Yan was enough to annihilate their 35 nations. No matter how they struggled, it was merely delaying the inevitable. Rather than this, it would be better to surrender proactively, as they might receive better treatment. Your Majesty. Sikong Luan looked up at the figure above the sky and atop the furnace. Though diminutive at that moment in Sikong Lun's eyes, it seemed taller than the entire furnace. All right, everyone. His Majesty has already resolved the issue of the divine weapon for us. Now it's our turn to sweep through the 35 nations and overthrow the rule of the divine weapons. Sikong Luan, looking at the army caught up in a fervor, immediately issued the command to attack. With Lin Yuan suppressing the furnace from above, the 35 nations had no courage to resist, and the defying divine society together with the greater Yan dynasty swiftly took control of the entire battlefield. The emperors of the 35 nations, except for 3 who escaped, were all captured. Sikong Luan did not order the execution of these emperors, as they could still be useful in governing the territories of the 35 nations in the future. Do you see clearly now? Has that Flame Emperor really reached the realm of the Father God? Outside the battlefield of the 5 mountains, 7 or 8 figures of evil soldiers with their auras concealed gathered. These evil soldiers, never having appeared in the world before, came quietly due to the decisive battle between the 35 nations and the defying divine society, only to witness such a shocking scene. Even if he's not as strong as the Father God, he's not far behind. An umbrella-shaped divine weapon emitted a faint mental fluctuation. Its integrity was 95% complete, and its memory was fully intact, retaining a general impression of the ancient godly being. Father God. The mental fluctuations of the umbrella-shaped divine weapon spread out, and its memories from 10,000 years ago had become blurred. They only remembered that they were forged by the Father God. For such divine weapons, the Father God was everything. And now, another being comparable to the Father God had emerged. Originally, the umbrella-shaped divine weapon thought that this being would be one of those 36 divine weapons. After all, those 36 divine weapons had devoured lives for 8,000 years. If anyone in the world was likely to follow in the footsteps of the Father God, it would be them. Unexpectedly, the Flame Emperor emerged, surpassing the millennium accumulation of the 36 divine weapons with a speed incomprehensible to all beings, and forcefully advanced to that level. Above the vault of heaven, Lin Yuan sat atop the Taiji furnace, suspended in the sky as if looking down upon all beings. This led to the most direct consequence, which was that the defying divine society and the greater Yan dynasty conquered the territories of the other 35 nations with unprecedented ease. Normally, to fully conquer a nation, a substantial cost is required. Time, policy, energy and such. After all, even if you breach the enemy's capital and take over all their territory, as long as the people of that capital are alive, various restoration organizations and forces will emerge. But now, if you are not convinced, if you wish to restore your country, you can look up to the sky. Look at the 36 divine weapons suppressed to death by the Flame Emperor. Thus, even the most patriotic individuals have extinguished the thought of restoration. After all, to restore a country one must have hope. No one believes that under the watchful eyes of the Flame Emperor high in the heavens, they could stir any waves. Thus, as the Flame Emperor sat enthroned in the vault of heaven, looking down on all beings, 20 years had once again passed. Above the Taiji furnace, Lin Yuan finally opened his eyes. Finally, it's done. Lin Yuan's eyes shone with splendor. 20 years of meditation with the aid of the Taiji furnace's power had finally enabled him to fully comprehend the essence of the 36 divine weapons. Since ancient times, Perhaps only that ancient godly being from 10,000 years ago had accomplished this feat, and the ancient godly being had even taken a shortcut, and the time taken surpassed Lin Yuan's. Foundation. Depth. Lin Yuan carefully felt the changes within himself. After incorporating the essence of the rules of the 36 divine weapons and many evil soldiers into the Tao of Taiji, Lin Yuan was still at the 4th rank, but he vaguely saw the path to the 5th rank. In the main world, the 3rd rank is known as City Destroyer grade, a full strike capable of destroying half a city. While the 5th rank is the continent sinking rank, at this stage an evolver's single strike can sink continents, considered the strongest life on the surface. One step further and it is the 6th rank fallen star level. No rush, no rush. Lin Yuan calmed his spirit, temporarily setting aside thoughts about the 5th rank. He hadn't even completely walked through the 4th rank yet. Thinking about the 5th rank was entirely undue worry. Ancient godly being. Lin Yuan's expression fell into brief contemplation. Having fully understood the 36 divine weapons and refined them, Lin Yuan naturally obtained more memories about these 36 divine weapons. The memories of the ancient godly being in the sun and moon spear were sparse, as it was the 18th to be born. But the 1st-ranked tower-shaped divine weapon, and other highly ranked divine weapons, were privy to much information about the ancient godly being. Especially that tower-shaped divine weapon, which even knew the last place the ancient godly being disappeared. Over there, Lin Yuan sat atop the Taiji furnace, gazing northward. According to the memories of that tower-shaped divine weapon, before the ancient godly being disappeared, it had mentioned a few things. The general idea was, the ancient godly being was not originally a creature of this world. Rather, due to an accident, it fell from another world. Now that its injuries are healed, it planned to return to its home world. As for how to return, before falling into this world, the ancient godly being had torn a rift on the edge of the world with its last strength. By following that rift, passing through the spatial turbulence, one could approach the ancient godly being's home world. By then, the ancient godly being only needed to activate a secret technique, and it could bring the brethren from its home world to guide it back. Other worlds? Lin Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly. The worlds are actually interconnected. This point, Lin Yuan had realized back in the previous world, the Dragon Tiger world. The true martial sword of the Celestial Master Mansion was from a higher world, and so was the primeval demon spirit. If I could go to the ancient godly being's home world, wouldn't it be like killing 2 birds with 1 stone? Lin Yuan's thoughts raced. He suddenly realized. Undoubtedly, the home world of the ancient godly being, in terms of level, must surpass the current world. Otherwise, the ancient godly being wouldn't have been able to extract the essence of the world and its rules 10,000 years ago. If Lin Yuan could go there, he would certainly reap greater benefits. Actually, traveling between worlds is a very dangerous matter. The ancient godly being is an example. Initially falling into this world, it nearly perished outright. But this time Lin Yuan's presence was a mere consciousness descent, with no risk of death. Even if he perished on the spot, he would simply return to the main world. Having fully understood and refined the 36 divine weapons and many evil soldiers, Lin Yuan had already made a significant gain. Even if the journey failed, there would be no loss. No rush for now. Wait until the last 20 years to discuss it. Lin Yuan thought to himself. From Lin Yuan's 160-year sojourn, 30 years remained. In the remaining time, Lin Yuan planned to handle the affairs needing conclusion. As for you? Lin Yuan looked down, glancing at the furnace beneath his feet. 20 years of repeated refining had long erased the consciousness of the 36 divine weapons. To give birth to new consciousness, it would need several hundred, even thousands of years. Shatter. Lin Yuan's thoughts slightly shifted. Sea racks began appearing on the surface of the 36 divine weapons. The cracks spread, expanded, and split. Eventually, all the divine weapons were reduced to a pile of fragments. Divine weapons are the external manifestations of the essence of the world's rules. They cannot be destroyed, but Lin Yuan could completely shatter them. In this way, even if new consciousnesses were born in the future, their threat would be far less than that of the complete divine weapons. The Five Peaks battlefield. Ever since 20 years ago, when the Emperor of the Greater Yen decisively suppressed the many divine weapons, this place had become the holy land of the world. Especially after the Greater Yen dynasty unified the Central Plains' 36 kingdoms and established an unprecedentedly unified nation, countless people came here in admiration daily. After all, other places at most had relics. But at the Five Peaks battlefield, one could truly see that legendary Emperor of the Greater Yen. As long as that 100-mile-wide black and white furnace didn't disappear, the Emperor of the Greater Yen would remain seated at its summit. And on this day, under the gaze of countless onlookers, the black and white furnace slowly dissipated. Chapter 90, A Millennium of Darkness. A single lamp brings light. Please subscribe. The Wuyu Battlefield. The disappearance of the 100-mile furnace. It caused a tremendous upheaval. After all, that furnace had spanned the skies for 20 years. It had long become the pillar of faith for the human race under heaven. Because this was, historically, the first time the human race had triumphed over the divine weapons, the evidence of victory over the beings that had ruled over them for 10,000 years. The Greater Yen capital. After Xikong Luan led the Defying Divine Society to defeat 35 countries, he swiftly submitted to the Greater Yen dynasty and took the position of prime minister. Xikong Luan was well aware that Lin Yuan was the emperor of the Greater Yen dynasty. After defeating the other 35 nations, he did not hesitate to begin assisting the Greater Yen dynasty. For 20 years, the Greater Yen dynasty had unified the Central Plains, and apart from Lin Yuan's deterrence, it was closely related to Xikong Luan's maneuvers as well. On this day, Xikong Luan finished reading the intelligence in his hands. He suddenly stood up. The furnace has disappeared? Xikong Luan looked at the intelligence in his hands again. And His Majesty is also missing? A trace of worry surfaced on Xikong Luan's face. Su Chong. Xikong Luan spoke. Su Chong immediately walked in from outside. What's the matter? Su Chong asked in confusion. I want you to take a trip to the Wuyu battlefield and look for... Xikong Luan had not finished speaking, when a gentle voice sounded in his ear. Looking for me, are you? Lin Yuan appeared inside the room with a smile brimming in his eyes. Your Majesty. Upon hearing the familiar voice, Xikong Luan immediately teared up. Flame Emperor. Seeing Lin Yuan, Su Chong shrank his head a little, somewhat afraid to speak. 20 years ago, on the battlefield of Wuyu, his cry of Flame Emperor had spread across the entire battlefield. Who knows how many had heard it? Following this, Lin Yuan appeared and replied with a "What's the rush?" in a slightly dissatisfied tone. For these 20 years, Su Chong had an extremely tough time. In fact, Su Chong felt rather wronged in his heart. It was Lin Yuan who had said back then, when facing an unstoppable situation he could call out that name. The situation at the time truly was unstoppable, wasn't it? The 35 high-end mighty divine weapons were beginning to devour everything. Your Majesty, I heard that the furnace has disappeared? Moments later, Xikong Luan cautiously inquired. How is Jianghu doing now? Instead of directly answering, Lin Yuan asked a question in return. Jianghu Lu Zheng was the offspring born to Lin Yuan and a blood-refining female martial saint over 30 years ago, after much cajoling from Dowager Wang Shangfeng. The reason why it had to be a martial saint of that level was naturally that Lin Yuan's physique was excessively powerful at the time. Ordinary women couldn't bear Lin Yuan's child, let alone withstand Lin Yuan's essence. Even if it was a female martial saint, if Lin Yuan hadn't significantly weakened his own vitality, she couldn't have borne it either. Finally, the female martial saint bore a son for Lin Yuan, who from birth was raised as a crown prince by the Greater Yen dynasty. Prince Zheng is extremely intelligent and is not a... Before Xikong Luan could say not inferior to Lin Yuan, he felt it was an exaggeration and stopped himself. Who was he kidding? Who was Lin Yuan? Over these years, he has been known as the foremost sage monarch under 10,000 years on the Central Plains. Even if Lu Zheng were highly intelligent, he could not match Lin Yuan's authority. Under the heaven. For 10,000 years. And 10,000 years to come. Even after eons and generations, it's estimated that there will only be one Lin Yuan, with no second to rival him. That's good then. Lin Yuan nodded slightly. He didn't have high expectations for Lu Zheng. Maintaining the foundation of the Greater Yen dynasty was sufficient. Your Majesty, those divine weapons, Xikong Luan asked once again cautiously. It couldn't be helped. This question was too important. The divine weapons have all been shattered by me, Lin Yuan said nonchalantly. Shattered? Xikong Luan was slightly startled. Can't they be completely destroyed? Unable to hold back, Xikong Luan asked. Divine weapons, even if shattered, could turn into evil soldiers and continue to spawn consciousness. Divine weapons, born of heaven and earth, cannot be destroyed, Lin Yuan stated directly. This was something ancient godly beings couldn't do 10,000 years ago, and neither could Lin Yuan. Are you worried that after I leave in 100 or 1,000 years, those divine weapon fragments will once again develop consciousness and reenact the scene of divine weapons ruling the world? Lin Yuan discerned Xikong Luan's concerns. Even evil soldiers, far from the might of complete divine weapons, possess strength far surpassing that of a blood refinement martial saint. By then, without Lin Yuan, once the divine weapon fragments begin to wreak havoc, there will be no one in the world to stop them. Your Majesty is correct. Xikong Luan showed a bitter smile. Do not worry. Lin Yuan raised his right hand and pointed slightly towards the brows of Xikong Luan and Su Chong. Instantly, a great deal of information flowed into the minds of the two men. It was the cultivation system that Lin Yuan had perfected in the past few decades, based on the existing cultivation system of this world. It discarded the original system's flaws that only refined the body, and took into account the spiritual soul. This cultivation system, also influenced by Lin Yuan, dictates that above a martial saint lies a martial god, and above a martial god lies a celestial being. Normally, by cultivating to the martial god realm, one could match or even surpass those divine weapon fragments. Lin Yuan's passing down of this cultivation system was providing the human race with hope for future generations. With such a perfected cultivation system, even if surpassing martial saints is difficult, every few decades, there will nonetheless be geniuses who cultivate to the martial god realm. What is this? Xikong Luan rapidly absorbed the information in his mind, his face increasingly astonished. He immediately realized the terrifying aspect of the cultivation system Lin Yuan had transmitted to him. While largely similar to the original body refinement martial apprentice, tendon refinement martial apprentice, skin refinement martial master, bone refinement martial master, organ refinement innate martial master, marrow refinement great grandmaster, and blood refining martial saint cultivation system, Lin Yuan had added how to refine the spiritual soul at every stage, achieving a transformation of both body and spirit. As a result, blood refinement martial saints were no longer the end, with even more powerful martial gods and celestial beings within reach. According to the realm descriptions, martial god realm alone was sufficient to counter those evil soldiers. This was unprecedented since ancient times. This cultivation system, Su Chong swallowed hard, for he was a divine weapon master since the splitting heaven axe was already a complete divine weapon. Yet, how many such weapon masters could there be in the world? And even then he relied on the divine weapon within him, without which he was nothing. Nowhere could compare to the cultivation system Lin Yuan had passed to him. Power gathered within oneself, and upon reaching the ultimate stage, one would not be inferior to an evil soldier master and would gain the benefit of longevity. On behalf of all beings in the world, I express my deepest gratitude for your Majesty's tremendous grace and virtue. Xikong Luan knelt to the ground with a thud, sincerely expressing his words. If Lin Yuan's suppression of all divine soldiers on the 5 peak battlefields was a feat that overshadowed his contemporaries, then imparting this cultivation system was a feat that would overshadow all generations. From today onward, all cultivators must remember the grace of Lin Yuan, and they cannot forget it for the rest of their lives. All right. Get up. Lin Yuan waved his hand. He spoke with indifference. To him, this cultivation system was nothing special. He passed it down merely because he did not want to see future generations of the human race become mere food for the divine soldiers again. After all, at this moment, Lin Yuan was also a member of the human race, and the Greater Yan dynasty was a dynasty of the human race. Whether it was helping his kin or standing up for what was right, Lin Yuan would have acted the same way. There's another matter for my visit here. Lin Yuan seemed to remember something as he looked towards Su Chong. Ah. Su Chong blinked, not knowing what had happened. Come out. As soon as Lin Yuan finished his sentence, a black axe flew out from within Su Chong. It was the splitting heaven axe. Before I came here, I had already shattered all evil soldiers and divine soldiers, and erased their consciousnesses. You cannot be an exception. Lin Yuan held the splitting heaven axe in his hand. The indestructible divine weapon was as fragile as cotton in Lin Yuan's hands. With just a slight press, it broke into dozens of pieces, its inner consciousness completely erased. Although the splitting heaven axe had been refined by Lin Yuan and was absolutely loyal, Lin Yuan was not certain that it wouldn't change after he left this world. To be safe, no complete divine weapon could remain. All right. Lin Yuan glanced at Su Chong, whose expression had turned somewhat downcast. With your talent, if you cultivate the system I've imparted, it's very likely you'll step into the martial god realm. Lin Yuan added. He had modified that cultivation system, mainly adding the fortification of the spiritual soul. And Su Chong originally possessed a strong innately spiritual soul, otherwise he could not have become the wielder of the splitting heaven axe. It's time to leave. Lin Yuan once again glanced at Xikong Luan and Su Chong. His figure silently disappeared from the spot. Your Majesty, Xikong Luan felt an emptiness in his heart as if he had lost something forever. No. We must record that cultivation system immediately. Sikong Luan rallied his spirits and had people bring in paper and brush. Then he quickly recorded the information from his mind. Chancellor Sikong, you are getting on in years. Should I write it instead? Su Chong scratched his head, feeling much better after Lin Yuan's reminder. No. This cultivation system is too important, I can only rest assured if I write it. Sikong Lun's eyes burned with intensity as he rapidly moved the brush, continually recording. 2 hours later. Looking at the complete cultivation system in front of him, Sikong Luan was excited. With this cultivation system, the human race would completely break free from the past thousands of years of being food for divine soldiers. Even if a complete divine weapon appeared in the future, the human race would have the possibility to resist, no longer like in the past where they could only beg pathetically. All the humiliation and resentment vanished under this cultivation system, and from then on, the human race of this land would truly stand upright. Your Majesty, Sikong Luan thought of Lin Yuan again, his eyes reddening, murmuring to himself. 1,000 years in darkness, one lamp brings light. Outside the central plains 36 kingdoms, in the utmost northern lands. This place was bitterly cold, and even a blood refinement Marshal Saint could not endure for long under such low temperatures. The extreme cold made this area a forbidden zone for life. For tens of thousands of years, no creature had ever come here. However, on this day, a figure slowly entered this place. The extreme cold had no effect whatsoever on this figure. Within a few dozen meters of this figure, it was surprisingly warm and comfortable. This is the place. Lin Yuan stopped looking around. This was where, according to the memory of the divine weapon, the last traces of an ancient godly being were found. It is also from here that the ancient godly being returned to their native realm. Space Rift. Lin Yuan continued walking forward, faintly detecting the aura of a spatial rift. Shortly after, Lin Yuan saw the source of the aura. It was an irregular form, as if part of a painting had been torn open. Within it, wisps of gray mist were faintly visible. Is this where the ancient godly being left from all those years ago? Lin Yuan fell silent for a moment. Merely looking at it, Lin Yuan could sense a very dangerous feeling. It was evident that once he truly stepped inside, there would be no hope of survival. Lin Yuan lingered for a while before making a decisive return. Although he did not know how the ancient godly being managed to go inside, he was sure he couldn't do it. If there was any hope of survival, Lin Yuan wouldn't mind gambling the next 20 years of his life. But as it appeared, there wasn't even a glimmer of hope, so naturally Lin Yuan knew how to choose. 20 years was time enough. With his against heaven's understanding, even just loitering in this world could lead to no small advancement. It made no sense to waste it on uncertain death. Time slowly passed. In the blink of an eye, 20 years had gone by. Over these 20 years, Lin Yuan traveled around the central plains. He saw with his own eyes how the greater Yan dynasty grew increasingly powerful, and the cultivation system he had passed down broadly disseminated. Name, Lu Yuan Lin Yuan. Identity, holder of the myriad realms gate, bound talent, against heaven's understanding, current status, consciousness descent, remaining residence time, 1 hour. Until the time of his residency was about to expire, Lin Yuan once again came to the utmost northern lands to that space rift. Since I'm going to return soon anyway, I might as well take a look inside. Lin Yuan's mind stirred, and the Taiji field contracted to just an inch from his body surface. This degree of Taiji stance could be considered Lin Yuan's strongest defensive stance. Let's go. Lin Yuan took a step and entered the space rift. Chapter 91, Return. Global Top 10? Why so weak? As if in a trance, Lin Yuan opened his eyes. Is this death? Scenes from stepping into the space-time rift emerged in Lin Yuan's mind. It was an endless and chaotic flow of space. Without color, without direction. Before Lin Yuan could react, his body began to collapse. The Taiji field, his physical form, consciousness, soul, and everything else. All collapsing. Lucky I didn't go in 20 years ago, otherwise what a waste of time that would have been. Lin Yuan thought to himself. From the first glimpse of the space-time rift, Lin Yuan felt an extreme sense of danger. So he decided to leave decisively. He spent those 20 years continuing to travel the world, seeking enlightenment along the way, and incidentally solving several disasters for the greater Yan dynasty, training several martial gods and firmly establishing the Lu family's reign. How exactly did that ancient godly being from 10,000 years ago leave? Lin Yuan wondered slightly. According to his speculation, the ancient godly being could have been at most 4th rank peak, definitely not surpassing 5th rank. Yet, facing that level of spatial turbulence, even a 5th rank would not survive for long. Anyway, Lin Yuan decided not to overthink it. He started to take stock of this traversal. Without a doubt, the greatest gain from this traversal was opening up the 3rd and 4th rank levels of the martial arts evolution system. Although before the traversal Lin Yuan had already stepped into 3rd rank, he had just entered the beginning phase of 3rd rank, the middle phase, late phase and peak and so on were all perfected in the Divine Arms world. In the end he even took the big leap into 4th rank. One must know. The path of cultivation that Lin Yuan chose was the most difficult, the path of the essence of rules. If it were just a normal breakthrough to 4th rank, it certainly wouldn't have taken Lin Yuan so long. The essence of rules. Lin Yuan walked out of the nutrition capsule, faintly sensing the vast and endless rules from all directions of the cosmic starry sky. Compared to the Divine Arms world, the essence of the rules in the main world were undoubtedly much more powerful. Not just vast but also more complete. In the main world, trying to forcibly extract its essence of rules like the ancient godly being did, is almost impossible. It's not a matter of strength, anyone who dares to do so will surely be crushed by the main world's overwhelming power. It's been over 2 days, not too bad. Lin Yuan glanced at the time and had a clear idea in his mind. 160 years in the Divine Arms world, in the main world, barely 50 hours had passed. My current realm is probably equivalent to 4th rank, 9th stage. Lin Yuan assessed himself. Just over 10 years after suppressing the Sun and Moon Spear, he stepped into 4th rank. The following 8 or 9 years were spent arranging nodes on the 5 sacred battlefields, in order to form the Taiji furnace to suppress the 35 divine weapons. The 20 years of wandering the world after that, were spent truly on enlightenment and cultivation. From 1st stage to 9th stage of 4th rank, basically all were perfected during these 20 years. Of course, realm is realm, Lin Yuan's current strength still remained at the early stage of 3rd rank. Choose the right cosmic spiritual objects and recovery will happen quickly. Lin Yuan opened the online marketplace and began to make his selections. For an evolver, the most important thing is their own realm. What about power intensity? If you lose control over your realm, it's meaningless. These two will do. After a moment of thought, Lin Yuan confirmed his choice of spiritual objects. His cultivation system still revolved around Taiyin and Taiyang as the main core of the Taiji path, so naturally he chose cosmic spiritual objects with yin and yang attributes. 12 billion. Lin Yuan looked at the price. This traversal had Lin Yuan advancing levels far beyond the past 2 times. From the early stage of 3rd rank to 4th rank, 9th stage, that's a difference of 21 stages. Therefore, the quality and level of the cosmic spiritual objects he selected this time were naturally high. Indeed, had he not had 4th level citizen privileges, Lin Yuan, no matter how wealthy, would not even be able to see objects of such quality. Still short on money? Lin Yuan sighed. Normally speaking, an evolver at the early stage of 3rd rank, cultivating to 4th rank, 9th stage, even with smooth sailing and no bottlenecks, would take hundreds or thousands of years. This is provided that they have a complete evolution path to guide them. For a 3rd rank evolver spreading the cost of 12 billion over hundreds of years, it's not a pressure at all. It's just Lin Yuan, this peculiar freak whose advancement speed in a short period was too fast, leading to his wealth not being able to keep up. 4th level citizens have a 10 billion loan limit, plus my tournament winnings. Lin Yuan confirmed his identity information and purchased the 2 cosmic spiritual objects. The group stage of this tournament provided Lin Yuan with nearly 10 billion in prize money. As for the individual competition, since the individual competition has not yet ended, all prize money will be settled once it's over. Let's upload the 3rd rank chapter that was deduced from this traversal. Facing a decrease in his account balance, Lin Yuan made up his mind. Uploading the subsequent parts of the martial path evolutionary path has only benefits for Lin Yuan, no disadvantages. Firstly, it would result in a large amount of merit points. In the Cosmic Human Alliance, merit points are extremely important. Ordinary citizens primarily have 3 ways to earn merit points. One is to enlist in the army and fight with different species on the frontier. For every different species killed, you contribute to the whole human civilization, thus you can obtain corresponding merit points. Another way is to serve the human civilization, and based on the assessment of the 3 goddesses, one can also receive relevant merit points. Take the governor of Kanglan Star for example. If public satisfaction is high during his tenure, and he makes genuine contributions to the planet, he can receive corresponding merit points as a reward. Chapter 92, Return. Global Top 10? Why so weak? _2 The third aspect involves research and development and inventions. which include various novel discoveries, encompassing evolutionary paths and other types of technology. Beyond the aforementioned 3 categories, there are other ways to earn merit points. For example, accidentally discovering traces of different species or their conspiracies, and then reporting these to the Goddess of Wisdom, thus preventing human civilization from suffering losses, after which the Goddess of Wisdom would impartially determine the importance of this intel and award merit points accordingly. In Lin Yuan's mind, uploading evolutionary paths was undoubtedly the most cost-effective way to acquire merit points. As for killing different species, on the battlegrounds at the frontier, fraught with risks, Lin Yuan saw no need to take this risk. And serving the Cosmic Human Alliance? Taking on a minor official position felt too troublesome and came with the pressure of making achievements. Moreover, perfecting the martial path evolutionary path had another advantage. That was to improve one's ranking on the Kanglin evolution ranking. You see, it's not as if once Lin Yuan uploaded the evolutionary path to the Goddess of Wisdom, it ceased to be his. Lin Yuan was still the founder of the evolutionary path, and within the Cosmic Human Alliance, every citizen who purchased the martial path evolutionary path for cultivation would result in Lin Yuan receiving 30% of the income. The higher the potential of the martial path evolutionary path, the higher it ranked on the evolution ranking, and the greater the promotion it received. The more wealth Lin Yuan would ultimately accumulate. Key point is, this source of income was continuous, and that was only the direct impact. Being the founder of a powerful evolutionary path, there were many indirect, hidden influences as well. Third rank chapter. Lin Yuan began to significantly modify the third rank chapter of the martial path evolutionary path with his Against Heaven's understanding, making it suitable for citizens of the main world to cultivate. 2 days later, Lin Yuan opened his eyes. Goddess of Wisdom. Lin Yuan directly connected to the Goddess of Wisdom. Respected 4th level citizen Lin Yuan, the Goddess of Wisdom is pleased to serve you. Since being promoted to a 4th level citizen, the Goddess of Wisdom had become increasingly gentler in her treatment of Lin Yuan. I want to upload the 3rd rank chapter of the martial path evolutionary path, Lin Yuan spoke. As for why there was no 4th rank chapter, Lin Yuan himself was still at the 4th rank 9th stage, and had not fully completed this level, so there was no need to upload it in advance. Besides, the 3rd rank chapter was sufficient. The rule essence pathway Lin Yuan had chosen was already reflected in the 3rd rank chapter. Accompanied by Lin Yuan swiftly uploading the 3rd rank chapter content. In a mysterious space countless light years from Kanglin Star, massive screens flashed rapidly, as immense computational power frenetically assessed and deduced the value of the 3rd rank chapter of the martial path evolutionary system. The 3rd rank chapter uploaded by Lin Yuan was divided into Martial God chapter and Heaven Man chapter. Detected Martial God chapter contains a higher order method to forge the body. Detected Heaven Man chapter involves the power of origin rules, beginning re-evaluation of the potential of the martial path evolutionary path. Evaluation complete. Current martial path evolutionary path has a 10% probability to promote to 5th rank evolution path, and a 60% probability to promote to 6th rank evolution path. Probability of the martial path evolutionary path promoting to 6th rank evolution path exceeding 50%, triggering the Charter Secrecy Protocol. Relevant contingency plans generated. Henceforth, all promotions concerning Human Citizen Code 123****** will be handled by the 3 goddesses, no other. Authorizations needed. Beginning valuation of the 3rd rank chapter. 40,000 merit points. Is there a need to seek nearby highest citizen authorization? No need. Shuiwei Residential Complex. Residence number 32. Lin Yuan was adapting to his current, frail physical body. The solemn and cool voice of the Goddess of Wisdom rang out. Respected 4th level citizen Lin Yuan. So quickly. Lin Yuan appeared somewhat surprised. Compared to his previous uploads of evolutionary paths, the response from the Goddess of Wisdom was much quicker this time. After the final evaluation, your uploaded 3rd rank chapter is valued at 40,000 merit points. The Goddess of Wisdom provided the response. Good. Lin Yuan nodded. 40,000 merit points was not the value of the entire martial path evolutionary path, but specifically the value of the 3rd rank chapter. Too bad, still short some merit points to promote to a 5th level citizen. Lin Yuan glanced at his merit points balance. A 4th level citizen aiming to promote to a 5th level citizen needed 50,000 merit points. Since Lin Yuan's promotion to 4th level citizen had consumed 10,000 merit points, leaving him with 9,000 merit points, Now with the newly acquired 40,000 merit points, he had a total of 49,000 merit points. Let's check the latest updates on the martial path evolutionary path. Lin Yuan's thoughts flickered and he summoned his evolutionary system panel. The extreme potential is still 6th rank. Lin Yuan stroked his chin. The 7th rank evolution path was much more difficult than he had imagined, and even the essence of many rules he had learned in the Divine Arms world could not give the martial path evolutionary path a sliver of possibility for advancing to the 7th rank. Perhaps, there are other constraints on the 7th rank evolution path? Lin Yuan pondered for a moment, then continued to look further. A full possibility of advancing to the 5th rank evolution system, and a 60% chance of advancing to the 6th rank evolution path. A smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. If he remembered correctly, before he had uploaded the 3rd rank chapter, the chance of the martial path evolutionary path advancing to the 6th rank evolution path was only 10%. Now surging to 60% was clearly due to the essence of the rules. Right. Now, where does the martial path evolutionary system rank on the Kanglin evolution ranking? Lin Yuan, somewhat curious, looked at the latest ranking of the martial path evolutionary path. Others would have to wait for the Kanglin evolution ranking to be updated to know the ranking of any evolutionary path in real time. But Lin Yuan, as the founder of the martial path evolutionary path, naturally could check any real-time information about the martial path evolutionary path. Martial path evolutionary path, Kanglin evolution ranking. First, virtual world. Personal room. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, the environment of the personal room simulated being a vast desert. The hot air spread like wildfire. Oh? Lin Yuan opened his eyes. Mr. Liao is looking for me? Lin Yuan's thoughts flickered. The barren desert in front of him began to transform. It quickly formed into a manor-like setting with bridges over flowing water, resembling a southern Chinese household. The next moment, Mr. Liao's figure appeared in the chair across from him. Mr. Lin. Mr. Liao was quite respectful toward Lin Yuan. After all, on the arena, the prowess Lin Yuan had demonstrated had shattered Mr. Liao's perceptions time and again. Now he had even advanced to the top 10 in the individual competition. It's worth noting that the Kanglin Star Arena competition was open to all evolvers of Kanglin Star. That Lin Yuan could break into the top 10 in such an arena? What kind of favored son of heaven was this? Even without thinking, Mr. Liao knew that once this competition ended, Lin Yuan would soar to heights far beyond his reach. There's just over a week until the final battle for the top 10. Mr. Liao disclosed his purpose for coming. Although from previous records, it was easy to see that Lin Yuan's odds against the other monsters in the top 10 weren't high, many speculated that Lin Yuan might be the weakest among them. But at the very least there was still concern. After all, Lin Yuan had secured a top 10 ticket, the pride of Dongning City for thousands of years. Mr. Lin, this is what I've collected, videos of those top 10 evolvers fighting, including analyses from higher-level evolvers. I believe after watching these you'll understand more. Mr. Liao immediately played a video. The fight itself wasn't rare, what mattered was the attached analysis of other evolvers. Because, like it or not, what different level evolvers see in the same battle often varies. High-level evolvers can spot the weaknesses and shortcomings of the combatants at a glance. If Lin Yuan could absorb the judgments in the analysis, he might have an advantage in the forthcoming top 10 showdown. While hoping for a top 5 or 3 might be too much, aiming for a 7th or 8th place was still hopeful. After all, to make it into the global top 10, the differences in strength between each were not substantial, perhaps that bit of understanding could play a crucial role. Please watch, Mr. Lin. Mr. Liao played the video. So powerful, Mr. Liao watched alongside Lin Yuan. Even after many views, Mr. Liao was still shocked. However, sitting beside him, watching the video with Mr. Liao, Lin Yuan seemed unconcerned. The pressure he felt before, from those evolvers standing in the global top 10. Now to Lin Yuan they seemed too weak. Chapter 93 Climbing to the top, trending rankings among the top 10 global evolvers, the one most likely to clinch the title should be the evolver known as Fang Qing. Fang Qing's origins are unknown. He is suspected to have encountered a great opportunity, receiving the heritage of a high-rank evolver and cultivating the ancient god evolutionary path. Moreover, the ancient god evolutionary path refers to a category of incredibly powerful evolutionary paths as a collective term. Each ancient god evolutionary path corresponds to an ancient god in the depths of the starry sky. In terms of hierarchy, the ancient god evolutionary path surpasses the 6th rank. Before Lin Yuan proceeded with his traversal, the one he most dreaded was this Fang Qing. With the power of the Taiji field at his disposal, If he were to go all out, Lin Yuan was confident he could compete with the other 8 evolvers. The only one he was uncertain about was Fang Qing. But that was before the traversal. After completing the 3rd traversal, Lin Yuan had transformed inside out. His strength had even reached the 4th rank 9th segment. Under such circumstances, even though his martial path evolutionary path's potential limit was still not as high as the ancient god evolutionary path, the overwhelming difference at the Great Realm meant the two were simply not on the same level anymore. Now, Lin Yuan felt no interest in watching the battle videos of the other 9 evolvers. Not to mention feeling any pressure. Then I'll take my leave first, Mr. Liao said upon seeing Lin Yuan's lack of interest, promptly suggesting his departure. It seems Mr. Lin Yuan doesn't have much confidence in the upcoming competition for the top 10, Mr. Liao thought to himself as he returned to his personal room. Actually, it was only to be expected. One should see what the other 9 evolvers are like. The Thunder God who can transform into lightning, the fortunate individual who awoke the 6th rank Fallen Star level bloodline, and Fang Qing who cultivates the ancient god evolutionary path. This lineup would be considered extravagant even in previous tournament rankings. Kanglan Star Virtual World, Central Plaza area. Because of the popularity of the tournament, this area became rather desolate, as most citizens had gathered around the tournament arenas. At dawn that day, the Kanglan Evolution ranking began to update its list of information. At first, not many people paid attention to it. But soon, some noticed something amiss. Damn, am I seeing things? Why has the evolutionary path Purple Thunder, which was ranked first, moved to the 2nd position? I think I'm seeing things too. My god, the martial path evolutionary path has taken the top spot? In an instant, the Central Plaza area was in an uproar. Countless people were dumbfounded as they looked up at the word Martial Town now at the very top of the evolution ranking. Everyone was familiar with the martial path evolutionary path. In fact, they knew it very well. From its initial entry into the top 100 to the top 10, it took only a year or two. Everyone thought that the martial path evolutionary path would lay low for a while because every evolutionary path in the top 10 of the ranking withstood the test of hundreds of thousands of years. Especially the Purple Thunder evolutionary path, which dominated the top position for 500,000 years. One of the hot favorites for the current tournament champion, Thunder God, follows the Purple Thunder evolutionary path. Only now, the myth of the Purple Thunder evolutionary path had been broken. What is the background of the martial path evolutionary path? And which great figure developed this path? I guess this path must be from a higher-ranked planet's great figure, deliberately placed on our Kanglan star. I agree, the rise of the martial path evolutionary path was too sudden. I have an elder who works at the Central Continent Evolvers Association, and I've never seen an evolutionary path similar to the martial path evolutionary path. The crowd discussed animatedly, sharing their speculations. In the end, they concluded that the martial path evolutionary path most likely originated from a higher-ranked planet, introduced by great figures on Kanglan Star. After all, the creation and refinement of an evolutionary path not only depend on its founder but also require the participation of a large number of cultivators. Just like the Purple Thunder evolutionary path, in order to perfect this path, countless evolvers have contributed over hundreds of thousands of years. But what about the martial path evolutionary path? It came out of nowhere without any sign of its emergence. Compared with the general onlookers, those who were previously displaced by a rank by the martial path evolutionary path were much more relaxed in their minds. When the martial path evolutionary path first appeared, it broke into the 93rd position on the evolving ranking. As a result, the original 93rd, 94th, 5th rank, etc., evolutionary paths naturally receded by 1 rank. Afterward, when the martial path evolutionary path rose to the 78th rank, the original 78th, 79th, 80th places also moved back by 1 rank. Latterly, when the martial path evolutionary path broke into the top 10, even more evolutionary paths moved back a rank. This had caused discontent among the cultivators following these evolutionary paths. But now, seeing the martial path evolutionary path ascend to the top, they didn't know why but they felt somewhat happy. In short, it might be, if everyone moves back it's as if no one has. Thunder Rain Star region. Inside the virtual world. Lulan he sat cross-legged. In his mind emerged the teachings of Lin Yuan. The way of Taiji based on Taiyin and Taiyang, seamlessly boundless. The more Lulan he thought about it, the more confused he became, only briefly comprehending when feeling the trace of the Taiji power left by Lin Yuan within him. It was at that moment, a deep voice came through, Lulan he. Father. Lulan he was startled and quickly stood up, speaking respectfully. Compared to his gentle mother, Lulan he feared his father even more. His father was not only the sky of the Lulan family but also a figure of authority in the Thunder Rainstar domain. Chapter 94 Climbing Hot Rankings _2 A single sentence could determine the fate of hundreds, even thousands of life planets. The evolution path you're cultivating now has too low a probability of advancing to the 6th rank. Change to another one, a deep voice said. Ah. Change to another one? Lulan he felt some reluctance. But father, I really like the martial Tao and the founding teacher often gives me guidance, he said, mustering courage to argue. I said the probability of advancing to the 6th rank is too low, only 10%. Choose something with higher odds, Lulan Yu said somewhat impatiently. Before coming here, Lulan Yu had naturally reviewed the martial path evolutionary path. With his insight, he could naturally discern the strengths and weaknesses of the martial path evolutionary path. Being able to accommodate both the extreme energies of Taiyin and Taiyang was indeed impressive. But that was all. Moreover, the martial path evolutionary path currently had only the 1st tier chapter and 2nd layer chapter, and although it had the potential for a 6th rank, there was only a 10% chance. To Lulan Yu this was far from enough. Alright then. However, the martial path evolutionary path just updated with the 3rd rank chapter this morning, and I haven't even finished reading it. Lulan he said, feeling a bit aggrieved but unable to go against his father's will. The 3rd rank chapter? Lulan Yu was slightly taken aback. He pulled up the information on the martial path evolutionary path and indeed saw the newly released 3rd rank chapter. Lulan Yu chose to purchase and quickly skimmed through the content of the 3rd rank chapter. This? The 3rd rank already touches upon the power of origin rules? There's a 60% chance of advancing to the 6th rank? Lulan Yu's expression became slightly more solemn. He looked again at the release times of the 1st tier chapter, 2nd layer chapter, and 3rd rank chapter within the martial path evolutionary path. On average, each rank was released less than a year apart. It's not impossible to cultivate. Lulan Yu scanned his son Lulan He, who looked downcast, pondered for a moment and then spoke. Since you like this evolution path so much, continue with it. Really? Lulan He's eyes widened. It was the first time he had seen his father change his mind on his own. While the outside world was abuzz over the martial path evolutionary path topping the evolution charts, Lin Yuan had just received the 2 cosmic spiritual objects he had purchased. The Yin attributed and Yang attributed objects, valued at 1,200 million. These are the vermilion fruit and cold jade? Lin Yuan opened the alloy box, his spirit slightly stirred. The alloy box was large, divided into 2 layers. The top layer held a crimson fruit. The fruit was only the size of a baby's fist but radiated a surprising amount of heat, as if it were a miniature fireball. Lin Yuan knew that this vermilion fruit was the fruit of some special plants deep in the universe. They were classified by age: centennial vermilion fruit, millennial vermilion fruit, decamillennial vermilion fruit, centimillennial vermilion fruit. The vermilion fruit Lin Yuan purchased was a centennial vermilion fruit. Even so, it was valued at 700 million, and it came with the privileges of a 4th-level citizen. Carefully picking up the vermilion fruit and setting it aside, Lin Yuan looked at the other item in the alloy box. Cold jade. Though not as expensive as the vermilion fruit, it was still a cosmic spiritual object worth 500 million. After thoroughly inspecting the 2 cosmic spiritual objects to ensure there were no issues, Lin Yuan began the refining process. He started with the vermilion fruit. Lin Yuan handled it with extreme caution. Under the light, the vermilion fruit seemed to have a liquefied substance like magma flowing within it. Who knows what kind of special plant could bear such fruit, Lin Yuan thought to himself. He then sat down cross-legged and began to slowly absorb the energy within the vermilion fruit. There were 2 ways to use the vermilion fruit. One could eat it directly, but only if the user's strength was at least at the 4th rank. Only then could one withstand the terrifying energy burst that occurred the moment the vermilion fruit was swallowed. Beneath 4th rank, one had to absorb it slowly as Lin Yuan was doing. Though Lin Yuan was indeed at the 4th rank 9th realm, he could barely refine the fruit if he swallowed it directly, but there was no need for such haste. Time passed. 1 day later. In front of Lin Yuan, only a thin layer of the fruit peel remained. The essence inside had been completely absorbed by Lin Yuan. Next was another cosmic spiritual object, Han Jade. Refining Han Jade was much easier than the fruit. Especially since he had fully refined the fruit and his strength had subtly broken into the 4th rank, refining Han Jade naturally became even easier. Half a day later. The entire piece of Han Jade disappeared. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, his aura like a black hole as the powers of Taiyin and Taiyang turned into black and white, connecting with the universe. I've finally recovered to the 4th rank, 9th segment. Lin Yuan slowly opened his eyes and took a gentle breath. Deep within his Dantian Qi Si, the Taiyin powers formed a Taiji pattern like a miniature galaxy, constantly rotating and intertwining. Now the Taiji field should be considered a real domain. With a thought, Lin Yuan easily covered all of Dongning City with the Taiji field. Moreover, if Lin Yuan wished, he could even spread it further. The power of the domain is something that only 4th and 5th rank evolvers could hope to grasp. But that's just wishful thinking. In reality, most of the 4th and 5th rank evolvers also cannot master the domain. This has nothing to do with combat strength or power, but with one's own cultivation system and talent. Take Lin Yuan for example, with the Tao of Taiji as his foundation and a perfect fusion of Taiyin and Taiyang, which then extended to the domain. He had mastered the Taiji field at the 2nd layer, which is the embryonic form of the domain. Other evolvers practicing martial Tao, even if they don't have against heaven's understanding like Lin Yuan, if they follow the martial path evolutionary path and master the powers of Taiyin and Taiyang to form the Tao of Taiji, even if they do not condense the Taiji field at the 2nd layer, naturally they will master the Taiji domain by the 4th or 5th rank. This is the advantage of an evolutionary path. Continue cultivating. After restoring all his strength, Lin Yuan once again immersed himself in cultivation and enlightenment. Possessing and against heaven's understanding, Lin Yuan did not only cultivate by traversing worlds, he could also cultivate and seek enlightenment in the main world. It's just that, compared to the years, decades, or even 100 years spent in the traversing worlds, Lin Yuan's stay in the main world was short, which led to the illusion that most of his power was obtained through traversing. In fact, if Lin Yuan could spend decades or even centuries in the main world, he would similarly reach a terrifying height. As time edged closer, the heat of the tournament matches was rising. Especially the upcoming global top 10 matches, which attracted the attention of most citizens on Kanglan Star. Whether they were evolvers or ordinary citizens, they all wanted to know which evolver would win the final championship. In my opinion, Thunder God has a great chance of winning the championship. His evolution path is Kanglan Star's number 1 evolutionary path. Well, now it's number 2. Regardless, there's no problem with the evolution skill, and Thunder God himself, having survived lightning strikes and being able to incarnate as lightning, just this ability alone is enough. A well-known host began analyzing and releasing various videos to prove their point. Thunder God might be strong, but he's only 3rd rank. That Yang Wei, who has awakened 6th rank bloodline, has the greatest chance to win the championship. 6th rank bloodline, do you understand what that means? Not only is the upper limit as high as 6th rank, but when at a lower rank, you can also awaken some innate abilities from the bloodline. Thunder God might be strong, but can he compare to a 6th rank fallen star? Another well-known up-host spoke out to refute and presented their own viewpoint. What does Thunder God amount to in front of Fang Qing? Do you understand the value of the ancient God evolution path? That's an evolution path with a great reputation even in the Qikuan star domain. If it weren't for the many limitations in cultivation, there wouldn't be any matter of the Purple Thunder evolution skill. And Yang Wei, so what if he's awakened a 6th rank bloodline? With such a diluted bloodline, what kind of talent can he get? A big shot in the field of science and popular knowledge spoke out sarcastically. Countless people on the internet argued, each supporting their favorite contestant. Finally, a host ranked the current 10 evolvers based on the number of supporters and the level of enthusiasm. 1st, Thunder God. 2nd, Fang Qing. 3rd, Yang Wei. 9th, Lin Yuan. 10th, Ruan Du. Chapter 95 Sweep, Crush, Global Number 1, Thunder God ranks 1st entirely because of his flashy fighting style. Summoning thunder, controlling thunder, transforming into thunder, especially transforming into thunder, apparently it captivated countless fans. It led to him surpassing Fang Qing in popularity, securing the top spot in the rankings this time. Of course, such civilian rankings carry little authority. They are merely based on the past achievements of the top 10 evolvers, as well as their personal popularity. Even so, the rankings of these 10 evolvers do to some extent reflect the outcome of the final battle. The top 3, for example, whether it is Thunder God ranked 1st or Fang Qing or even Yang Wei. In any case, these 3 evolvers are clearly a tier above the remaining 7 in strength. Almost everyone believes the champion will emerge from these 3. As for which one it will be, only after the fights will we know. In order to ensure fairness in the competition, the official organizers have not yet allowed these 3 evolvers to encounter each other in the arena. Yang Wei is an exception. Before awakening a 6th rank bloodline, he was once crushed by Thunder God. But once a 6th rank bloodline is awakened, it's hard to say who will win or lose. Evolved beings constrained by their own bloodlines can nonetheless dominate their ranking once they awaken a powerful bloodline. The day before the global competition. Virtual world. The officials of the competition found Lin Yuan. "Hello, Mr. Lin Yuan, I am the official assistant for this arena competition," a woman with soft features and light purple pupils said with a smile. "Hello." Lin Yuan replied with a nod. "We need you to record a video, mainly your thoughts on the upcoming top 10 competition." The female assistant paused before continuing. "Of course, if Mr. Lin Yuan is unsure what to say, we can provide a script for you to read from." After speaking, the assistant brought out a stack of documents. Lin Yuan took them, skimmed through, and immediately understood that these scripts were meant for declaring war on the other 9 evolvers. Although the top 3 spots of this competition are almost already decided among Fang Qing, Thunder God, and Yang Wei, regardless, one must not lose momentum. Even if one doesn't make it into the top 3, there is still 4th, 5th to 10th place. These pre-competition interviews are designed to provoke and thereby incite other contestants and the audience. I'll just speak for myself. After reading through the interview scripts, Lin Yuan felt they did not suit him. If Mr. Lin Yuan has his own ideas, then there's naturally no need for a script. The female assistant spoke gently. Having followed more than one tournament, she knew that some evolvers get nervous before a competition, which is why she considerately prepared scripts. "Then Lin Yuan's face lit up with a smile. "I wish everyone a pleasant competition." "Is that all?" the female assistant asked after hearing Lin Yuan's response, patiently waiting a moment longer. When she saw Lin Yuan looking at her, she realized he had finished speaking. "Isn't that enough? Or is there a time requirement for the video?" Lin Yuan inquired. "There's no time requirement," the assistant hurriedly replied. "It just seemed a bit brief." The assistant had another thought that she didn't vocalize. Lin Yuan's statement lacked impact. Merely wishing everyone a pleasant competition? But as an assistant for the competition, she could not dictate what Lin Yuan wanted to say. "Then I'll be leaving. Lastly, I hope Mr. Lin Yuan achieves a good ranking." With a smile, the female assistant vanished on the spot. That evening, Lin Yuan continued his usual practice. At that moment, his smart assistant informed him that the profit distribution from the martial Dao evolutionary path had been settled. "Let's see how much money there is." Lin Yuan was interested. The revenue share was settled once a year. As of that day, Lin Yuan had already gone through one settlement. However, during that settlement, the martial Dao evolutionary path had barely made it into the top 100 and had not been there long, so the final income was just under 10 million. From the last settlement to this one, the martial Dao evolutionary path had been in the top 10 of the evolution rankings for nearly a year, which surely attracted many citizens to practice it. 536 billion? Lin Yuan was slightly surprised to see the final revenue share. This was just the income received. If one were to include the 70% taken by the officials and the taxes, wouldn't the total sales reach nearly 10 billion? Evolution path, martial Dao. Number of people practicing innate chapter, 7,893. Number of people practicing Grandmaster chapter, 2. Number of people practicing Great Grandmaster chapter, 0. Someone has reached the Grandmaster realm? Lin Yuan glanced over the related data of people cultivating the martial Dao evolutionary path. This data came from the Cosmic Human Alliance official records, registered with the Evolvers Association. There might be discrepancies, such as Evolvers reaching the Grandmaster realm without registration. But it wouldn't be by much. Such cases like Lin Yuan, whose strength surged dramatically every 8 months, were extremely rare. These numbers don't add up. Lin Yuan looked again at the sales figures for each level of the martial Dao evolutionary path. Over 200 copies of the third-rank chapter sold? Lin Yuan was somewhat astonished. To date, the martial Dao evolutionary path was divided into 3 chapters: first-rank chapter, second-layer chapter, and third-rank chapter. Lin Yuan set the price for these 3 stages as first-rank chapter, 10,000; second-layer chapter, 500,000; third-rank chapter, 5 million. And the third-rank chapter of the martial Dao evolutionary path hadn't been uploaded for long. Yet it had already sold over 200 copies? Considering the price of 5 million per copy, over 200 copies meant more than 10 billion. After deducting the 70% taken by the officials and the taxes, that would still amount to 3 to 4 billion. That was no small number. Chapter 96 Sweep, Crush, World's Number 1 Understood. It must be a chain reaction caused by the martial path evolutionary path reaching its pinnacle. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment before roughly clearing up the cause. After uploading the third-rank section, It triggered the goddess of wisdom to re-evaluate the martial path evolutionary path, which then topped the Kanglan evolution ranking. In the entire Chiquan star domain this might not be a big deal, but it was definitely going to cause an uproar in the circles of evolvers on Kanglan star. Those top evolvers spending over 5 million to buy the martial path evolutionary path to study was nothing out of the ordinary. 5 million might be a lifetime earning for ordinary citizens, but for 3rd and 4th rank evolvers, it wasn't a huge sum. I've made back the investment just like that. Lin Yuan felt delighted as the wealth shrunk from purchasing the Zhu fruit and Han Jade, 2 cosmic spiritual objects, was immediately replenished. And he even gained a few billion extra. Next time I settle accounts, the income should be even more. Lin Yuan thought to himself. The influence of the martial path evolutionary path reaching its pinnacle had yet to fully ferment. As time went by, the future new birth evolvers of Kanglan star would inevitably consider the martial path evolutionary path as their first choice. After all, given nearly the same cost, one evolutionary path ranked first on the ranking, while others were 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Any sane person would know how to choose. The next day, the competition for the top 10 globally officially began. On an extremely large arena, a male and a female host appeared. These 2 hosts were the most famous on Kanglan star, responsible for the commentary of the top 10 finals. And the seats around the arena quickly filled with one audience member after another, while in the virtual world broadcast screen, it showed a large number of citizens watching. Fellow citizens, the moment everyone has been eagerly awaiting has finally arrived, the top 10 finals. I'm sure everyone is desperately curious to see who will emerge as the champion of this arena competition. The male host raised his hand and said loudly, "Let's not waste any more words, now please welcome our 10 evolvers to the stage." The camera zoomed in. Fang Qing, Thunder God, Yang Wei, Lin Yuan, and other 7 contestants stepped onto the stage in succession. Each time a contestant appeared, cheers resounded like tidal waves, especially for Fang Qing, Thunder God, and Yang Wei. As for the rest, they were largely overshadowed, since everyone was interested in the champion, and currently Fang Qing, Thunder God, and Yang Wei seemed to have the greatest chances of winning. "Lin Yuan, I love you." When it was Lin Yuan's turn, a portion of the audience got excited. Lin Yuan's unique fighting style, liking to torture his opponents, indeed attracted a group of uniquely interested die-hard fans. All right. At this point, the male host started speaking again. "It goes without saying, these 10 individuals are the finest young evolvers of our Kanglan star. They are the future of Kanglan star. But on the arena, a victor must still be determined." The male host's voice resonated. "The competition begins now. First up is the scoring game. All 10 evolver contestants will appear on an island that is 100 miles long and wide. The goal for all contestants is to find these blue crystals on the island." The male host pointed with his right hand, and a palm-sized, deep blue crystal appeared in front of everyone. There are a total of 100 of these crystals, scattered in various hidden locations on the island. "The scoring at the end of the game will be based on the number of crystals possessed," he said, pausing for a moment, "and let me remind you, combat between contestants is not prohibited in this scoring game." His words carried a hint of gunpowder. Not prohibiting combat meant that merely finding crystals wasn't enough. The most important thing was to keep them. Otherwise you might find 100 crystals, but if you're killed and robbed by other evolvers, it's all in vain. "The competition starts now," said the male and female hosts together. Instantly, Fang Qing, Thunder God, and others appeared at various locations on the island. Above the grand arena, 10 screens appeared in the air. These 10 screens broadcasted the 10 evolver contestants. "Now you may choose your favorite contestant's viewpoint and you can switch viewpoints at any time," the male host reminded. No sooner had he spoken, many viewers started to choose their viewpoints. And the number of viewers for each screen updated in real time. After a moment, the viewership numbers for each of the 10 screens more or less settled down. The viewpoint for Thunder God had the most viewers, over 110 billion. Fang Qing came next with just over 100 billion. Yang Wei had over 90 billion. The numbers on the screen constantly fluctuated, clearly indicating many viewers were switching between different viewpoints. "Alright, the competition has started." The male host would switch between different viewpoints every so often, providing commentary. But most of the time the focus was on Thunder God, Fang Qing, and Yang Wei. After all, these 3 contestants drew the most attention, and commenting on their fights attracted even greater responses from the audience. "Looking for stuff? That's not really my forte." Fang Qing appeared in a dense forest, a thoughtful expression on his face. "But maybe I could give it a try." Fang Qing closed his eyes and behind him, An immense ancient god phantom vaguely surfaced. And with the aid of this ancient god phantom, Fang Qing's senses rapidly spread out. Blue crystals. Thunder God appeared at the edge of the island, his pupils subtly revealing flashes of blue lightning, eventually surrounded by purple thunder within 1,000 meters around him. Boom boom boom. One blue crystal after another was revealed by the collisions with the purple thunder, falling into Thunder God's hands. Let's see where the crystals are. Chapter 97 Sweeping, Crushing, World's number 1/3 Yang Wei was a man of stern appearance, his pupils subtly deepening. Bloodline talent, pupil of insight. In a flash, within Yang Wei's vision, trees, stones and everything else became illusory. Only the blue crystals radiated an unusual color. There's a crystal. Yang Wei saw a blue crystal and flew straight towards it. Above the enormous arena. The male commentator was providing rapid commentary. Look at our contestant Fang Qing, directly summoning the ancient god's apparition to enhance perception, and he has already found 6 blue crystals. After the commentator finished his praise, he shifted the camera angle to Thunder God. My goodness, Thunder God has also awakened a nascent domain, probably the nascent Thunder domain. Using this nascent form to search for blue crystals certainly gives him an advantage over the other contestants. And now our Thunder God has already found 11 crystals. The method Yang Wei uses to search for crystals is quite interesting. Can he directly know where the crystals are? Is he using some kind of ocular bloodline talent? The male and female hosts were switching between 10 different camera views, commenting on each one in turn. Finally, the camera view switched to Lin Yuan. Our contestant Lin Yuan is resting? The male commentator was a bit taken aback. In the previous 9 camera views, all contestants were frantically searching for crystals. Yet when it came to Lin Yuan, he appeared to be casually lying on a boulder, resting with his eyes closed. And this scene was seen by many viewers. On the screen, Lin Yuan was leisurely lying on a boulder. A stark contrast to the other contestants searching for crystals. No way could it be that he's already given up the struggle? Right, with Lin Yuan's mastery of a nascent domain he should be good at finding crystals, but finding crystals and holding on to them are two different things. With Lin Yuan's strength, even if he finds crystals, once he encounters powerhouses like Thunder God or Fang Qing, he'll probably have to hand them over obediently. Countless viewers were discussing heatedly, most believing that Lin Yuan had started to throw in the towel. After all, even if he didn't get a single crystal, he would still be ranked 10th in the world. It seems our contestant Lin Yuan is very adept at making choices. The male host pondered for a long time before finally coming up with a suitable phrase. Next, the male host switched camera views again. An attitude like Lin Yuan's passive approach to the competition was not supported by the official arena officials, as it lacked spectacle. Even if there was no hope, one had to struggle a bit, as this would spur much more discussion among viewers. On a boulder on the island, Lin Yuan opened his eyes and looked around. It's about time. Lin Yuan thought to himself. The rules of this scoring match were to find 100 blue crystals scattered across the entire island. These blue crystals could be hidden anywhere on the island. Even if Lin Yuan wanted to search, it would still take time. Better to wait until the other 9 evolvers had gathered their share, then he could pick the peaches. After all, the rules of the competition did not prohibit snatching, and even encouraged combat and struggle. Let's see who's nearby. Lin Yuan's thoughts moved slightly, and the Taiji domain rapidly expanded. 1 mile, 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles. 3 of them. Lin Yuan opened his eyes, his figure vanishing on the spot. The 10th blue crystal. Yang Wei maintained his bloodline talent pupil of insight and was quick at finding blue crystals. It wasn't long before he found the 10th crystal. Keep in mind, there were only a total of 100 crystals scattered across the entire island. Spotted another one? Yang Wei scanned his surroundings. His eyes lit up and he was about to proceed. Just then, an overwhelming pressure descended. What? Yang Wei's expression revealed horror. Immediately after, he saw darkness, and his entire being turned into nothingness. The next moment, Yang Wei appeared in the competition's resting area. Yang Wei's face showed disbelief. I died. Yang Wei's mind was a mess. Up until this moment he didn't know how he had died. Keep in mind, even if he faced the strongest like Thunder God or Fang Qing, he had confidence that he could fight for a while. Even in defeat it would be a close defeat. But to be instantly killed like this was too inconceivable. Meanwhile, high above the massive arena, the camera view belonging to Yang Wei suddenly blacked out. The nearly 100 million viewers watching Yang Wei's perspective were suddenly left without a home, and they exploded in uproar. Chapter 98. The End of the Arena Competition, the ultimate reward for being the world's #1. Please subscribe. What the hell? What just happened? Why did Yang Wei's point of view screen go black? At first, the audience thought it was an isolated incident. Perhaps there was some problem with the network connection. But after discussing it with each other, they realized that everyone watching Yang Wei's point of view saw a black screen, which immediately caused an uproar. Up in the sky above the great arena, the male host clearly noticed the situation. Yang Wei, having awakened as a 6th-rank fallen star warrior, was one of the hot favorites to win this tournament, and even a host like him would pay extra attention to such a contender. Upon discovering the anomaly, the male host quickly took action. Let's see what happened in the last few seconds before Yang Wei left the stage. The male host, experienced as he was, knew that the sudden blackout had nothing to do with the network. After all, if it were truly a network issue, then the screens for all 10 perspectives would have problems simultaneously. Another possibility for the sudden blackout was that the contender had been eliminated. The audience knew this too, but with Yang Wei's popularity being so high and his strength so formidable, how could a 6th-rank fallen star warrior be eliminated so suddenly? Nobody wanted to believe it. As the male host operated the controls, Yang Wei's screen image began to rewind. It went back to 3 seconds before the blackout. The male host watched intently, and nearly 10 billion viewers did the same. A smile appeared on Yang Wei's face in the image. He must have located the position of the next blue crystal. The next moment. Boom. Yang Wei burst into a cloud of blood mist, his internal organs had long been shattered, and he disintegrated into nothingness. As the host had called up a god's eye view, the scene did not end there. People clearly saw that after Yang Wei's body exploded, the 9 blue crystals he carried fell to the ground. At that moment, a slender right hand caught the blue crystals. The camera angle shifted to reveal that the owner of this right hand was Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan pocketed the 9 crystals and once again vanished from the spot. And this scene instantly set all the viewers who witnessed it ablaze. Lin Yuan? Was it Lin Yuan who killed Yang Wei? How is this possible? Does Lin Yuan have that kind of strength? An uproar of discussion rose like a tidal wave among the countless viewers. In truth, even if Lin Yuan had defeated Yang Wei or even killed him, it wouldn't be too surprising. It would just mean that Lin Yuan was the dark horse of this tournament, defying everyone's expectations. Every iteration of the tournament would occasionally have such incidents, where a competitor not favored by the audience suddenly burst forth. But there was supposed to be a fight, at least a few exchanges of blows. What did it mean for Lin Yuan to kill Yang Wei without Yang Wei even having a chance to react? So it was our Lin Yuan. Even the host, who had learned from backstage in advance that it was Lin Yuan who killed Yang Wei, forgot his lines for a moment. It was too incredible. Too unbelievable. Our Lin Yuan has been hiding his abilities deeply, the host said, breathing deeply. Just now, he must have used the power of his domain to crush Yang Wei completely. The male host took a deep breath, pulled up the data from backstage and began explaining to the audience. In the resting area for the contestants. Yang Wei, now eliminated, also understood how he died through the host's replay and explanation. This Lin Yuan, Yang Wei clenched his fist, has been hiding his strength all along. Ever since he awakened his 6th-rank bloodline, a dedicated team had approached him to analyze the other competitors. According to their analysis, Yang Wei only needed to pay attention to Thunder God and Fang Qin. As for Lin Yuan, Yang Wei had also studied Lin Yuan's battle videos. He didn't think he needed to be overly concerned. But now, as Yang Wei was eliminated, the number of viewers watching Lin Yuan's perspective increased rapidly. From the original tens of millions, it surged to hundreds of millions, tens of billions, over 100 billion. After all, nearly 10 billion viewers were watching Yang Wei, and with Yang Wei eliminated, this part of the audience naturally switched to Lin Yuan's perspective. Even the male host began to commentate from Lin Yuan's perspective. I must say, our Lin Yuan's speed. Just as the male host was marveling, Lin Yuan in the camera found another evolver. Bus. This contestant was a woman with somewhat curved eyebrows, her smile resembling a crescent moon. Her name was Fan Yu, and despite her delicate appearance, she was a very strong competitor. On the unofficial leaderboard, Fan Yu was ranked 4th, trailing only behind Fang Qin, Thunder God, and Yang Wei. But in the next moment, Fan Yu turned into a blood mist, disintegrated into nothingness. The 6 blue crystals she carried were also caught by Lin Yuan. Cries of shock once again emanated from the spectator stands. If when Yang Wei was killed, most of the audience didn't react in time and their focus was on Yang Wei, not knowing how Lin Yuan made his move. This time, many viewers were focused on Lin Yuan, witnessing the entire process of Fan Yu's death. It could be summarized in 2 words. Overwhelming. It was as if some invisible force suppressed Fan Yu, and within 10 meters of Lin Yuan, she was crushed to nothingness. Lin Yuan then arrived just in time to scoop up the falling blue crystals. The whole process was seamless, without any pause or hindrance. Fan Yu seemed to cooperate without any struggle. Following that, under the watchful eyes of all the viewers, the 3rd one, the 4th one, the 5th one after another, contenders were inexplicably crushed, and the viewers' screens naturally switched to Lin Yuan's perspective. This led to an increasing number of viewers watching Lin Yuan. After a brief silence, hundreds of billions of viewers went into a frenzy, utterly losing their minds. Is this Lin Yuan? He's so powerful? Which idiot ranked Lin Yuan 9th? Chapter 99. The end of the arena competition, the ultimate reward for being the world's #1 subscription request. His current strength, 4th rank? More and more spectators switched to Lin Yuan's perspective. Even the fans of Thunder God and Fang Qing gathered around, discussing fervently. In this tournament, or perhaps in the history of such tournaments, it was rare to see an evolver like Lin Yuan who easily crushed other contestants. After all, the precondition for participating in the tournament was being under 100 years old, typically only showcasing 3rd-rank beginners at best. As for stronger ones, they were probably picked up by other star system level powers and participated in more prestigious tournaments at the star system and star domain levels. From the spectator's stand. Damn, I thought I could beat him. Bingyan looked towards Lin Yuan on the battlefield, who seemed like a god or devil. He was also one of the top 20 evolvers in this tournament with 3rd-rank strength and had fought against Lin Yuan. Back then, Lin Yuan had not revealed such terrifying combat power, so Bingyan thought he had a chance to win. But now, looking back, his own thoughts seemed rather ridiculous. Holy shit, is brother Lin's strength that strong? Zhong Bai, Chao Rong and others had their eyes wide open. Mr. Liao next to them also showed an incredulous look. Particularly Mr. Liao had sent other contestants' combat videos to Lin Yuan, thinking he wasn't interested because he felt he couldn't win. Now it seemed Lin Yuan really wasn't interested at all. On the island, around Thunder God, within a few hundred meters, there was a purple thunder encircling. He himself was also sprinting at an extremely fast speed towards a certain direction. With the help of the nascent Thunder Domain, Thunder God had already collected 15 blue crystals. Thunder God suddenly stopped in his tracks. The spreading nascent Thunder Domain around him suddenly faced some terrifying suppression and instantly dissipated. Are you, Lin Yuan? Thunder God's pupils contracted as he looked towards a figure that had appeared nearby without him noticing. It's me. Lin Yuan was also sizing up Thunder God. Unlike other evolvers, Thunder God's physique had undergone the baptism of thunder, making it extremely unique. Thus, Lin Yuan did not immediately suppress him. Instead, he planned to study for a while. Now Lin Yuan was at 9th segment of the 4th rank, and other 3rd-rank evolvers could be understood just by observing a few times. Only Thunder God and that Fang Qing required a bit more observation. You? Thunder God glanced towards Lin Yuan, tension evident in his gaze. At this moment, he faintly sensed a powerful and vast suppressive force emanating from all around Lin Yuan, far surpassing his nascent Thunder Domain. Instinct told Thunder God that Lin Yuan was too strong, so strong that it was beyond his resistance. Just like moments earlier, his nascent Thunder Domain was instantly crushed. You can attack me, Lin Yuan's gaze flickered as he spoke. To attack you. Thunder God's mouth twitched, with Lin Yuan feeling to him like a towering mountain. And he, Thunder God, was merely an ordinary person. Now the towering mountain was telling him, Thunder God, to strike him. How to strike? With what to strike? No. I am Thunder God. I can lose but cannot fear. Thunder God took a deep breath. His skin, his flesh, his internal organs, his bones, almost in an instant, transformed into purple thunder. Incarnation as thunder. Faced with other opponents, Thunder God rarely used this ability immediately. But the pressure from Lin Yuan was too great. So great that if he did not transform into thunder, he would have likely conceded. Physical energy transformation? Lin Yuan's eyes sparkled. This ability was extremely rare, at least since the tournament began. Lin Yuan had encountered many evolvers, but only Thunder God possessed it. Boom. Thunder God, transformed into purple thunder, charged directly towards Lin Yuan. Buzz. The purple thunder exploded violently when it came within 10 meters of Lin Yuan. Finally, countless fine purple thunders converged and reformed into Thunder God's figure again. Good. Lin Yuan nodded. Again. Thunder God spat out a mouthful of blood and transformed into thunder again. This continued 3 times. The last time Thunder God forcibly transformed into thunder caused his physical body to collapse, leading him to die willingly in front of Lin Yuan. So, transforming into thunder, this ability can be used up to 3 times in a short period, Lin Yuan mused to himself. However, by watching Thunder God transform into thunder 3 times, Lin Yuan gained quite a lot, collecting the fallen blue crystals and then went to find the next evolver. Too strong. Lin Yuan, I love you. Thunder God is already very strong, but in front of Lin Yuan, he's like a child. True, I guess if Lin Yuan hadn't been interested in tormenting people, the fight would have ended much earlier, just like with Yang Wei. The chatter of countless spectators arose. Previously everyone was debating which evolver was stronger. Now everyone is arguing Lin Yuan is too strong. There's no way around it, given the strength Lin Yuan has exhibited. It's on a completely different level compared to other evolvers. It's like a father beating his son. Why is it so quiet? At a location on the island, Fang Qing appeared slightly surprised. Behind him, a grand ancient god shadow stood tall, constantly releasing its senses in all directions. The ancient god shadow's precise range of perception was about 2 or 3 miles around itself. Within these 2 or 3 miles, every little detail would emerge in Fang Qing's mind. As for areas beyond 2 or 3 miles, the ancient god shadow also had vague perceptions, such as the general auras of other evolvers and so forth. But now, Fang Qing suddenly felt as if the entire island had fallen into a sort of silence. As if he were the only one moving. What's happened? Fang Qing wondered. However, since it was currently competition time, he couldn't contact the outside world. A moment later, in the competition's rest area, Fang Qing's figure appeared. Me? Fang Qing's face showed an extremely complicated expression, along with a hint of fear. Just now he had encountered Lin Yuan, or rather Lin Yuan had found him. What followed was a fight where he was repeatedly toyed with, no matter how Fang Qing resisted or struggled. No matter how exquisite the techniques from the ancient god evolution path were, facing Lin Yuan meant constant suppression. What made Fang Qing even more baffled was, with Lin Yuan's strength, he could have ended his life quickly, but he didn't. This behavior made Fang Qing absolutely certain that Lin Yuan indeed enjoyed tormenting his opponents. You all have been eliminated. Fang Qing quickly realized, not just him but Thunder God Yang Wei and 8 other evolvers were there too. That Lin Yuan, Yang Wei gritted his teeth. He wanted to say Lin Yuan was bullying the weak, but then remembered according to the competition rules, Lin Yuan might not even be older than him. As Fang Qing looked around he suddenly understood. It turns out they had all been eliminated by Lin Yuan. Fanboy, look carefully, that Lin Yuan must be 4th rank and even higher than 9 segments, mastering a complete domain. His talent throws you 9 streets behind. A palm-sized elderly man with a white beard suddenly appeared on Fang Qing's shoulder. At this moment, this white-bearded old man was watching the video of the recent point match, his words showing disdain for Fang Qing. 4th rank higher than 9 segments? Fang Qing shrank his head. Even though he had received his teacher's heritage and had the intelligent life of a white-bearded old man, breaking through to the 4th rank would take him at least a century, let alone reaching a high segment. When all 9 competitors including Fang Qing were eliminated, Lin Yuan naturally became the final victor on the island. This point match, compared to previous editions, was way too unpredictable. Fang Qing, Thunder God, and Yang Wei in previous tournaments, all had the potential to win the championship. Yet, in this edition they appeared at the same time. That alone was unexpected, but then emerged a monster like Lin Yuan. He alone overwhelmed and crushed the other 9 competitors with his power, turning an otherwise exciting point match into a dull and uniform event. All everyone needed to do was watch Lin Yuan perform. The other evolvers were merely there for setting the scene. After the point match ended, the combat competitions began. However, Fang Qing and a few other evolvers, as soon as they were matched with Lin Yuan, didn't even think about it and immediately conceded. What a joke, why not concede and wait to be tortured? This actually disappointed Lin Yuan. He had originally planned to continue experiencing the transformation of thunder and the ancient god evolution skill. Several days later, the individual rankings for the combat tournament were finalized. Lin Yuan was ranked first, the champion of Kanglan Star. The individual competitions concluded. The tournament officials then began to distribute the rewards. Firstly, was the reward for the global champion. These. Lin Yuan looked at the reward list in front of him, his expression slightly changing. Chapter 100. Choosing rewards, different species, please subscribe. Compared to the team competition rewards, the individual competition rewards were much more generous, not only in quantity but also in quality, far surpassing those of the team competition. Especially for Lin Yuan, who had achieved the #1 ranking globally, the rewards were considerable. Mr. Lin Yuan, if there is anything on the reward list that you do not understand, you can ask me. Standing beside him was a woman dressed in a pink skirt. Her graceful demeanor made one feel amiable towards her. On the reward list there were 50 items. There were high-tech weapons, battleships, spaceships and the like. There were also inheritances of evolution paths, including the Purple Thunder evolution path practiced by Thunder God, which was once a top-ranking evolution path on Kanglan Star. There were also some cosmic rare treasures, treasures of the starry sky and uncommon spiritual objects and so on. As the champion of the individual competition, Lin Yuan could select 5 items from the list and had the right of first choice. That is to say, the 50 items on the list would only be available for other evolvers to select from after Lin Yuan had made his choices. According to the competition rules, the first place could select 5 items. The second and third places could select 3 items. From the 4th to the 10th place they could select 1 item. Which 5 should I choose? Lin Yuan was thinking rapidly. To be honest, Lin Yuan wanted all 50 items on the reward list. After all, each one was extraordinarily valuable, worth billions, and one couldn't simply buy them with money. They also required citizen rights and other restrictions. Even if Lin Yuan himself didn't need them, he knew many would pay a premium price for them. 3rd rank Gene Potion? I don't need it. 4th rank Orbital Cannon? Also not needed. Lin Yuan continued to eliminate options until he had decided on 5. 1. 4th rank Life Fruit. This cosmic rare treasure contained an enormous amount of life force, allowing evolvers below the 5th rank to recover quickly from even the most severe injuries as long as their soul remained. It was a treasure for preserving life. Even a 4th rank life fruit had a certain effect on 5th rank evolvers, remaining effective as long as the injuries were not fatal. Lin Yuan chose the life fruit purely as a precaution against extreme situations, ensuring he had it on hand should he sustain any injuries. Furthermore, within the Cosmic Human Alliance, the life fruit was highly sought after and always in short supply. Even if Lin Yuan didn't need it, he could monetize it later on. 2. The Soul Defense Treasure Soul Suppressing Bell. The Soul Suppressing Bell could guard one's soul and effectively defend against other soul attacks or soul disturbances. The soul is crucial for life. In the Cosmic Human Alliance, whether one is classified as human race is not determined by the physical body, but by the soul. For example, some cosmic prodigies with great fortunes seize the bodies of some innate powerful special life forms. Would that cosmic prodigy still count as part of the human race? Or would the offspring of some great figures who switch to a body with superior aptitude still be considered the descendants of those figures? The first one counts. The second one counts as well. As long as the soul is unique, that is enough. 3. Jiuli Liquid. This liquid could enhance one's physical base strength to a certain extent and was only effective for evolvers of the 4th rank and below. The soul may be important, but the physical body is essential. In the Cosmic Human Alliance's commercial app, Jiuli Liquid can only be hoped to be purchased for 50 billion. And that is only a hope. As soon as it appears, it is often snapped up immediately. 4. Soul Nourishing Jade. Wearing this jade over a long period can subtly increase soul strength. As for the 5th item, he chose a 6th rank evolution skill. This 6th rank evolution skill, from another life planet, seemed from its description to complement Lin Yuan's martial Tao cultivation system significantly. If Lin Yuan were to purchase it directly, each evolution skill would also cost tens of billions. This 6th rank evolution skill was almost top tier among the 50 items. That will be all. Lin Yuan returned the reward list to the lady in the pink skirt. Understood. The lattice eyes were gentle. Before she left, she suddenly mentioned, "By the way, Mr. Lin Yuan, there might be news from the Jianghu Star domain after a while?" Understood. Lin Yuan nodded. Before the 3rd teleportation, Lin Yuan had learned from the Goddess of Wisdom that the current platform competition might catch the eye of the Jianghu Star Lord. The Jianghu Star Lord was a supreme figure who ruled over an entire star domain. Currently, Kanglan Star was also under the jurisdiction of the Jianghu Star domain, one of the million life planets within its domain. Of course, the explanation from the Goddess of Wisdom was very vague. She only mentioned that it was possible to draw the attention of the Jianghu Star Lord and that even if he did, it might not necessarily lead to any reaction. After Lin Yuan had selected his rewards, the other evolvers began to choose in turn. "I picked these 3, Fang Qing said, his tone somewhat dejected. In this competition he had secured 2nd place. He was only second to Lin Yuan. Nevertheless, Fang Qing still felt somewhat inadequate. Mainly because the gap in strength between him and Lin Yuan was too great. If either Thunder God or Yang Wei had secured second place, he would have accepted it, feeling that he had hope of catching up. The white-bearded old man sitting on his shoulder then shook his head and said, "Fang kid, you really don't need to reproach yourself. That Lin Yuan kid may have some talent indeed, but the evolution path he practices surely can't compare to the ancient god evolution path. He might be ahead of you now, and perhaps he will lead you in 10 years or even several decades, but after 100 or several hundred years, he will certainly not catch up to you." Chapter 101. Choosing Rewards. Different species. Please subscribe. Undershu, you have the qualifications to cultivate the ancient god evolution path, and with my guidance, there's a great hope you can step into the 6th rank. What about Lin Yuan? He's likely to be stuck at the 6th rank bottleneck forever. At that point, you can beat him up again to vent your anger, the bearded old man consoled. In fact, if he had a choice, he really wished he could switch his heir. Lin Yuan wasn't bad at all. But once an heir for the ancient god evolution path was determined, it couldn't be changed. This meant that the bearded old man could only stick to this path until the end. Thus he could only comfort Fang Qing, this inadequate successor. Right, what's it matter if you're stronger than me now? What I want is the future, what I want is later on, being able to step into the 6th rank, travel the starry sea and strike down a fallen star. Wouldn't that be far more exhilarating than now? Fang Qing took a deep breath and suddenly felt that his future was bright. Time passed. The process of the Kanglin Star tournament was quickly spreading to the surrounding life planets. This time, Kanglin Star had produced a 4th rank evolver, a phenomenon not seen in hundreds of thousands of years. For a middle-grade life planet like Kanglin Star, the probability of a 4th rank evolver emerging before the age of 100 was almost zero. Only those higher-grade life planets, even Star Domain's main planets, had a higher chance of producing a 4th rank under 100 years old. Kanglin Star spacecraft landing area. A beautiful woman stepped out. In the interstellar era, regardless of gender, appearances were never bad. Not to mention genetic correction, even the cosmetic medical treatments available could easily and safely alter appearances. However, this beautiful woman was not only stunningly beautiful but also possessed a unique charisma that made men uncontrollably wish to conquer her. Who would have thought that such a remote planet could also produce a 4th rank under 100 years old? As soon as the beautiful woman stepped off the ship, a special hover car came to pick her up. The task for this trip is to seduce this 4th rank genius, get him to join our race and influence him as much as possible, the beautiful woman thought quickly. A direct assassination would be too costly. After all, to assassinate a 4th rank, you'd need at least the ability of a 5th rank. If it were another 4th rank and they couldn't kill instantly, allowing the target just a second or two to fight back, the planetary defense system's energy cannon would arrive. Only a 5th rank was reliable. And after assassinating a target, a 5th rank would certainly be shredded by the subsequent planetary defense systems, as well as the arriving human race's powerful warriors. That is, wanting to assassinate a 4th rank human genius required the sacrifice of a 5th rank warrior. And this 5th rank warrior also had to infiltrate the human race internally, possessing a complete and legal identity. Otherwise, it would be impossible to enter Kanglin Star or get close to the target. Achieving this would probably be 100 or 1,000 times more difficult than cultivating a 5th rank strong warrior. The human race's 3 goddesses were not to be trifled with. To escape their information blockade, no matter which different species, would require a great sacrifice. Therefore, unless it's those founders of high-grade evolutionary paths, different species would not easily attempt assassination. Assassination is a desperate choice. Besides assassination, there are myriad other methods available. Shuiwei Residential Complex. House number 32. Lin Yuan sat cross-legged, the content of the Pagoda evolution path continually surfacing in his mind. The Pagoda evolution path, a 6th rank evolution path, originated from a high-grade life planet called Pagoda Star. This evolution path, precisely the one Lin Yuan chose for the tournament. Truly profound, Lin Yuan comprehended the evolution path. Your against heaven's understanding is refining the understanding of the Pagoda evolution path, continuously perfecting the martial path evolutionary path. Your against heaven's understanding is refining the understanding of the Pagoda evolution path, continuously perfecting the martial path evolutionary path. Your against heaven's understanding is refining the understanding of the Pagoda evolution path, continuously perfecting the martial path evolutionary path. With his against heaven's understanding, Lin Yuan was progressing every moment, exploring other advanced evolution paths, significantly speeding up the process. What a pity, even with such a splendid evolution path, there's still no surpassing the 6th rank limit, Lin Yuan sighed. From 6th rank to 7th rank is a huge bottleneck, a huge shackling. The same goes for evolvers and evolution paths, forget it. Let's go outside, take a walk and clear my mind. Lin Yuan stood up and left the underground training ground, planning to stroll through the garden at Shuiwei Residential Complex. As a high-end luxury residential area, the garden at Shuiwei Residential Complex was planted with seasonal flowers year-round, delighting the eyes of those who walked through it. Since it was early morning, the garden was relatively empty, which made it feel more intimate. Suddenly, a beautiful woman approached from the opposite direction. She seemed to be a resident of Shuiwei Residential Complex too. Lin Yuan felt as if he was being watched, so he couldn't help but take several more looks at the beautiful woman. One look, another look, yet another look. Lin Yuan even stopped walking and stared at the beautiful woman's retreating figure. Typical of men, although the beautiful woman didn't look back, she felt Lin Yuan's gaze on her. She had deliberately encountered him during this time to make a few appearances in front of Lin Yuan. Her race practiced a special charm technique that could naturally evoke a favorable impression from the opposite sex. Just now, as she walked by, she had subconsciously deployed this charm technique, and that 4th-rank genius was so bewitched that he stopped in his tracks. This gave the beautiful woman even more confidence in her next actions. Wearing down the fighting spirit of these young human geniuses was the best way to defeat them. It was much easier than directly assassinating them and also gave her a greater sense of achievement. Your understanding is against heaven. You have observed an unknown life form and comprehended an unknown charm technique. Unknown charm technique? Lin Yuan thought for a while and immediately realized that this charm technique was not something the human race could perform. If it's not a charm technique that the human race can perform, how did that woman use it? Lin Yuan was puzzled. He could affirm that the beautiful woman had used this unknown charm technique when she passed him by. Otherwise, his against heaven's understanding wouldn't have perceived and completely understood it. When in doubt, consult the goddess. Lin Yuan didn't bother to think further, and once he returned to his residence, directly connected with the goddess of wisdom. He uploaded this unknown charm technique there. In no time, he received a reply from the goddess of wisdom. Respected citizen Lin Yuan, this charm technique comes from the floral deity race, a high-level charm technique formed by leveraging the race's special talents inherent in their bloodlines, combined with secret techniques, capable of beguiling the mind, the goddess of wisdom explained clearly. Floral deity race? Lin Yuan's eyes narrowed slightly. This species, a plant-based life form, was one of the enemies of the human races. Because they were adept at camouflage and familiar with bewitching minds, they often infiltrated human civilization, acting as covert spies. That woman must be from a different species, the floral deity race. Lin Yuan thought of the beautiful woman he had just encountered in the garden. With so many life planets in the Cosmic Human Alliance and many high-end residential areas, this different species appearing near Lin Yuan was likely targeting him. Is it because of the exposure from the arena match? Lin Yuan silently pondered. In the arena match, displaying 4th-rank combat power was a decision Lin Yuan had made after consulting the goddess of wisdom. The explanation from the goddess of wisdom was that while a 4th-rank human genius under 100 years old would attract the attention of different species, it was only attention and would not lead to assassination list. At most, he would face attempts to corrupt or sway him, but as long as Lin Yuan was prepared, nothing would happen. And displaying 4th-rank combat power could possibly catch the Chiquan Star Lord's attention, potentially bringing great opportunities and benefits. The risk was small. The opportunity was great. Taking everything into consideration, Lin Yuan had chosen to reveal his strength and overwhelmingly dominate the past. I've actually discovered a different species. Lin Yuan's thoughts churned. Well utilized, this different species could bring many benefits to Lin Yuan. For instance, by following the traces of this different species, more of them might be revealed. And since different species infiltrating human civilization would certainly carry many treasures, Lin Yuan fishing in troubled waters would certainly yield some results. Forget it. No need to mix up with these rats from the gutter. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment and directly connected with the goddess of wisdom. Goddess of wisdom, I have something to report. Chapter 102. Why did you take me away when I did nothing? The Cosmic Human Alliance as well as the 3 digital goddesses, all encourage citizens to report. The reporting here includes anything: unfair officials discovering other citizens committing crimes, corporate tax evasion, different species information, and so forth. And it wasn't a report without compensation. Afterwards, the goddess would determine the impact of the report and then provide rewards. The rewards included cash, positions, cosmic rare treasures, starry sea spiritual objects, merit points, and so on. As for the method of reporting, it was extremely simple, with no need for any complex procedures. One could connect directly with the goddess of wisdom. Theoretically speaking, even a first-class citizen had the power and ability to report a planetary governor. Of course, the goddess supported reporting but did not support reckless reporting. If the investigation afterwards found that the report was completely fictitious and fabricated, it would lower the citizen's evaluation in the eyes of the goddess. If this citizen insisted on their report, then they could release their privacy permissions, allowing specifically illusionary realm evolvers to review their memories. Lin Yuan reporting that beautiful woman as a member of a different species to the goddess of wisdom was the most trouble-free method. With his current status, there was absolutely no need to have any contact with those shady different species. He simply left it to the goddess of wisdom to handle. He would also receive a reporting reward. Citizen Lin Yuan, please speak. Upon hearing Lin Yuan wanted to report, the voice of the goddess of wisdom became slightly more solemn. I was out for a walk just now and encountered a woman. I think she might be from a different species. Lin Yuan did not explain the real reason for his suspicion, nor did he list any evidence. This would involve his against heaven's understanding. Moreover, with Lin Yuan's current citizen rank, even if he were talking nonsense, the goddess of wisdom would still investigate several times. Furthermore, that beautiful woman truly was from a different species. How could she withstand such scrutiny from the goddess of wisdom? Is this the person citizen Lin Yuan is referring to? In front of Lin Yuan, an ethereal screen appeared, showing a video of Lin Yuan walking in the garden from earlier. A tall, beautiful woman walked past Lin Yuan in the footage. The video zoomed in and paused, focusing on the tall, beautiful woman. It is her. Lin Yuan nodded. No sooner had the words left his mouth, than all information about this beautiful woman, from her birth till now, including generations of her ancestors, was pulled up. Name, Yao Qingqing. Age, 92-year-old. Strength, 2nd layer, 7th rank. Birth planet. After minutes of massive computational power investigation by the goddess of wisdom, a suspicion about this Yao Qingqing soon arose. At the age of 28, she appeared to have been switched. Subsequently, behavior analysis began to diverge from before she turned 28. Suspicion chain closed. Evolvers have been dispatched to capture Yao Qingqing. Since Lin Yuan was the reporter and his citizen rank reached 4th level, the goddess of wisdom did not avoid him. Floral deity race. Just as the goddess of wisdom was taking action, Lin Yuan's mind was flooded with information related to the floral deity race. The floral deity race belonged to the insect race, a member of the Strength of the Insect Race Alliance. For over 2 million years in the Starry Sea era, human civilization spanned all directions, forcing neighboring different species to unite. Among them, the Insect Race Alliance was a coalition of different species headed by the insect race. The strength of the insect race was very strong, by no means weaker than the human race. This group was too united. At the bidding of the hive, all insect race warriors fearlessly faced death. Wherever the swarm passed was a disaster for all life. In the early stages of expansion, human civilization also suffered at the hands of the insect race a few times, but later adapted and mostly gained more victories than losses. A coffee shop outside the Shuiwei residential complex. Yao Qingqing was sitting there in a good mood. Through the recent contact, she judged that Lin Yuan probably had no resistance against her. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stopped to stare at her silhouette. What a pity, it has to be done slowly, otherwise. Yao Qingqing glanced at the nearby Shuiwei residential complex as she had almost stopped walking and directly approached Lin Yuan just now. This mission should be a sure shot, an accidental meeting a few more times, and I can officially get to know him, then I can firmly grasp this genius human race evolver in my hands. Yao Qingqing mused to herself, her expression involuntarily revealing a hint of self-satisfaction. She had undergone many missions, but such an easy one like the current was rare. Yao Qingqing surmised that mainly because Lin Yuan was too young and inexperienced, which is why he couldn't resist her. To quietly lead a genius of the human race to fall, I wonder what rewards I can obtain. Yao Qingqing thought with a pleased mind. At this moment, most of Yao Qingqing's attention was on the nearby Shuiwei residential complex. Therefore, she did not notice that the coffee shop she was in had become deserted. No staff were to be seen. Yao Qingqing felt suddenly alarmed. She scanned around without leaving any trace. Upon finding not a single person, her face immediately turned ugly. Damn it. How was I discovered? As a seasoned spy, Yao Qingqing never believed in coincidences. When she entered, the coffee shop was still quite crowded, but now it was completely empty, clearly indicating that her whereabouts had been exposed and discovered by human officials. Considering this, Yao Qingqing steadied herself and prepared to leave. For now, Yao Qingqing hoped that human officials were merely suspicious of her, or perhaps had underestimated her strength, so the forces deployed against her wouldn't be substantial. On the surface, Yao Qingqing was a second layer, 7th rank. But in reality, Yao Qingqing had already evolved to 3rd rank, 11th level. Chapter 103 I didn't do anything and you took me away? _2 As long as Human Alliance officials didn't dispatch a 3rd rank, level 12 evolver, or even a 4th rank evolver, Yao Qingqing still had a chance to escape. However, Yao Qingqing had hardly taken a few steps when a man, whose smile was as bright as the sunshine, walked into the entrance of the coffee shop. Hello. The man smiled at Yao Qingqing. In an instant, Yao Qingqing felt the world spin around her. Is this a 5th rank evolver or a soul illusion type of the 5th rank? Despair filled Yao Qingqing's heart. A 5th rank evolver was already considered one of the strongest life forms on the surface, and on a middle-grade life planet like Kanglan Star, there were only about 3 or 4 5th rank evolvers. These 3 or 4 individuals held important positions and couldn't easily make a move. And now such a 5th rank evolver had come looking for her? Moreover, this 5th rank evolver was of the soul illusion type. In front of such an evolver, Yao Qingqing didn't even possess the ability to kill herself. A mere glance was enough to trap her in an illusion, unable to extricate herself. As her consciousness began to sink, Yao Qingqing's mind was flooded with everything that had happened since her arrival on Kanglan Star. She had come to Kanglan Star under the guise of a business trip. All her actions had been inconspicuous, even when she entered Shueiyue residential complex under the pretext of buying a residence, allowing the staff to take her inside. After accidentally encountering Lin Yuan, she hadn't spoken a single word to him. At most, she just secretly deployed a seductive charm, but this secret technique of the floral deity race could only induce a favorable impression and wouldn't leave any traces. How was she discovered? Could it be that Lin Yuan noticed something unusual about her? Even so, having reported by this human genius, the goddess of wisdom surely wouldn't need a 5th rank evolver to capture her, right? As her thoughts drifted, Yao Qingqing had already sunk into sleep. Done. At the entrance of the coffee shop, the man whose smile was like sunshine snapped his fingers, and immediately a group of people walked in and carried Yao Qingqing out. Such a small fish, why did the goddess of wisdom want me to make a move? This 5th rank evolver was somewhat puzzled. Could it be that she has some other value? After some thought, the man still didn't understand and decided to turn around and leave. Shueiyue Residential Complex. The 32nd house's balcony. Lin Yuan leaned on the balcony looking into the distance. This mental fluctuation. Lin Yuan was startled. Just then he had faintly felt an extremely profound mental fluctuation. This mental fluctuation was far beyond the 4th rank. Respected citizen Lin Yuan, we have completed the capture of that different species spy. The solemn and cold voice of the goddess of wisdom came through. Oh. Lin Yuan appeared contemplative. He guessed that the mental fluctuation he just felt must have been during the capture of Yao Qingqing. Is this Yao Qingqing very strong? Lin Yuan asked curiously. Merely based on the mental fluctuation he had remotely sensed, Lin Yuan was certain that the capturer's strength was at least at the 5th rank. From what we can see, she has hidden some of her strength. Her true strength is at the 3rd rank, the goddess of wisdom replied. A 3rd rank of a different species, using a 5th rank evolver? Lin Yuan was astounded. Is the Cosmic Human Alliance now so abundant with powerful beings? Respected citizen Lin Yuan, your importance to humanity justifies this action. The goddess of wisdom responded earnestly. For the goddess of wisdom, Lin Yuan's 4th level citizenship or his genius talent as a 4th rank evolver under 100 years old? None of that mattered much. What truly impressed the goddess of wisdom was the martial path evolutionary path that Lin Yuan had created. A martial path evolutionary path which had a high probability of advancing to the 6th rank. Encountering a member of a different species had instilled a certain sense of crisis in Lin Yuan. Although according to the goddess of wisdom, as long as Lin Yuan did not reveal his identity as the founder of the martial path evolutionary path, a 4th rank human genius under 100 years old wouldn't be worth the price a different species would pay to target him. At most, it would be a covert seduction and guidance just like what Yao Qingqing had done. But what if? Lin Yuan was not willing to risk his life on the different species. Move. Move now. Although the Shuiwei residential complex was a high-end area, it was only so for ordinary citizens. For the current Lin Yuan, it clearly was no longer suitable. After winning the individual championship of the ring competition, the officials of Kanglan Star had gifted the top 10 evolvers with a manor each, free of charge. The manor was located at the highest point of the central mainland, right in the core of the Kanglan Star planetary defense system. It could be said that living there, even if a fifth-rank different species came to assassinate him, it would be useless. The moment they made a move, they would be locked on by the planetary defense system without needing any reaction time. Furthermore, there were specific evolvers patrolling around the manor all the time, making it impossible for outsiders to get in. At his parents' house, Lin Yuan, Lin Shouqing, and Lu Qiong stood outside the house. His sister Lin Yi was also there, looking eagerly at the house before her. This was the house the Hua family had gifted, and since Lin Yuan had chosen to move, he naturally planned to bring his parents with him. After all, the residence in central mainland was very spacious, enough to accommodate dozens of people. A moment later, two men in uniform walked over, bowed to Lin Yuan, and then respectfully said, "Mr. Lin, we are here to help you move." "Thank you," Lin Yuan said with a nod and a smile. In fact, there wasn't much to move, mainly the memorable items his parents had accumulated over the past decades. As for other things like furniture and appliances, the manor was already well equipped. "What's the matter? Can't bear to leave?" Lin Yuan glanced at his sister Lin Yi and casually said. "I am a bit reluctant," Lin Yi nodded. Although she hadn't lived here for very long compared to their old home, this place was undeniably like heaven. "Let's go, the new house will be even better," Lin Yuan said, then turned and sat in the aircraft. From Dongning City to central mainland, it was almost half a planet apart, naturally requiring a spaceship for transportation. Of course, with Lin Yuan's capabilities he could have flown there himself, but there was no need. Half a day later, the aircraft landed at the highest point of central mainland. "This is your future residence, manor number 66, said the uniformed man as he walked ahead and introduced. "The entire manor covers 100 acres and includes a main building and 6 auxiliary buildings, and there's a specialized training ground underground. Other areas can also accommodate some orchards and flower gardens." Lin Yuan had already seen videos of the manor beforehand and was not surprised, but his parents and sister couldn't blink their eyes away. Especially his sister Lin Yi, who swept her previous reluctance away and looked around with shining eyes. "This manor, it's bigger than a regular residential area, isn't it?" Lin Shouqing exclaimed, considering central mainland as the core of Kanglan Star. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that every inch of land was like gold. And yet such a huge manor was built here? This was simply... Lin Yuan walked alongside his parents. This manor was a symbol of status, something that couldn't be bought even with a lot of money. It was specifically reserved by the Kanglan Star government for enticing evolvers like Lin Yuan with boundless potential. Not just Lin Yuan, even the other 9 evolvers who were young but already had 3rd rank capabilities, with good prospects of entering the 4th rank and not without hope for the 5th rank, it would be foolish not to entice them. After moving into the manor, it was undeniable that Lin Yuan would reside in the main building. No matter how modest he tried to be, Lin Shouqing and Lu Qiong wouldn't accept otherwise. His sister Lin Yi, seeing Lin Yuan and their parents arguing, cheekily suggested that neither of them should fight and that she would move into the main building. Resultantly, she was slapped by Lu Qiong and went off to sulk on her own. The next day, Lin Yuan just finished his training. The robotic butler then entered, dragging a half-human height alloy box. "It's the ring match prize." Lin Yuan's spirit was jolted. The ring match had 5 prizes in total, 4 of which were tangible items. Therefore, they couldn't be distributed like the pagoda evolution skill right away. Instead, they were delayed a few days for doorstep delivery. Lin Yuan, after moving to the new manor, updated his new address. Today the prizes were finally delivered. After verifying his identity, Lin Yuan opened the alloy box before him. First thing to catch his eye was a palm-sized pitch-black bell. Chapter 104, Chikuan Star-Lord, Soul-Suppressing Bell. Lin Yuan picked up the small black bell and examined it over and over. Among the 50 prizes for this tournament, the soul-suppressing bell was the most valuable. Soul defense weapons were already extremely rare, and with the soul-suppressing bell reaching 4th rank, it was almost a natural nemesis to 4th rank soul illusion class evolvers. Lin Yuan caressed the small black bell, his mind stirred, and he infused his soul power into it, beginning the refining process. Before long, the soul-suppressing bell vanished and appeared in the sea of consciousness. Not bad at all," he nodded slightly to himself. Among the many evolution paths, the soul illusion type was the most unpredictable and difficult to defend against. Especially soul attacks, which ignored physical defenses and targeted the soul directly. If one didn't have a soul-class defense weapon or a secret technique to protect the soul, one could only bear soul attacks with sheer resilience. Bear it and live. Fail to bear it and die. With the soul-suppressing bell, Lin Yuan's sense of security had greatly increased. Though the martial path evolutionary path had measures to protect the soul, having an extra soul-suppressing bell for protection was naturally a good thing. Moreover, Lin Yuan chose the soul-suppressing bell to use it in combination with the life fruit. If one day Lin Yuan's physical body were shattered, leaving only his soul protected by the soul-suppressing bell, at that time, consuming the life fruit with its tremendous vitality energy could rapidly restore Lin Yuan's physical body, akin to having an extra life. Thinking of this, Lin Yuan turned his gaze toward another item. It was a wooden box and inside was the very life fruit. Lin Yuan picked up the box and gently opened it. In an instant, a terrifying vitality spread outwards in all directions. An intoxicating fragrance filled the air, all of which originated from inside the box, from that infant fist-sized green fruit. I really want to eat it. Lin Yuan swallowed his saliva. Instinct told him that eating this life fruit would be of great benefit. But that was just instinct after all. According to the description of the life fruit, in the period after eating it, every cell of the body would be engulfed by inexhaustible life energy. During that time, no matter what injuries one sustained, they would recover at a terrifying speed. But that was only for that period, after which the effects of the life fruit would dissipate, and everything would revert to its original state. Plop. Lin Yuan immediately closed the wooden box. Keeping the life fruit open to the air would cause its vitality to dissipate at some rate. Lin Yuan glanced around. The rich fragrance that lingered when the box was open was also a manifestation of the life force. I inhale. Lin Yuan took a deep breath. With his constitution, all the air around, including the fragrance emanating from the life fruit, was drawn into his chest. The fragrance was then fully absorbed, the faint vitality lingering around him, giving Lin Yuan a sensation of floating on air. Lin Yuan savored the experience for a moment, then put away the wooden box. Soul-nourishing jade. Lin Yuan picked up the third item. It was a jade pendant, nearly transparent, that when touched to the skin, allowed a slight energy to fuse into the body, nurturing the soul at an incredibly slow rate. Although slow, the effect was continuous. As long as Lin Yuan wore it, it would not cease. Even if he advanced to 5th rank, the effect would only weaken. What a fabulous treasure! Lin Yuan carried the soul-nourishing jade close to his body. Jiuli liquid. Lin Yuan turned his attention to the last item. Jiuli originated from a barbaric wilderness planet. When the Cosmic Human Alliance conquered this planet, they discovered the natives, using some kind of ritual, produced Jiuli holy water which had a good enhancement effect on the physical body. Later, some scholars from human civilization improved it, and thus Jiuli liquid was born. Compared to Jiuli holy water, the effects of Jiuli liquid were much stronger and had no side effects. Lin Yuan picked up the Jiuli liquid. It was a test tube filled with a light silver liquid that looked quite beautiful and dazzling. Jiuli liquid worth 5 billion and also on limited sale? Not available for purchase by citizens below level 3? Lin Yuan examined it closely. The highest value he had purchased before was only a single fruit worth 7 billion. And one vial of Jiuli liquid could purchase 7 of those fruits. The correct way to use Jiuli liquid is not to swallow it directly or refine it. Instead, it is to be diluted and used to soak the entire body. Lin Yuan went to the bath, adjusted the water level to 2/3 full, then stripped off his clothes and immersed himself. They say that using Jiuli liquid is agonizing, and initially, not everyone on that barbaric wilderness planet could bear the baptism of Jiuli holy water. Lin Yuan opened the tube and slowly poured the silver liquid into the bath. Almost the next second, Lin Yuan felt his skin start to heat up. Is it taking effect? He quickly poured the remaining Jiuli liquid into the bath. Then he closed his eyes and began to slowly register the changes in his body. It started with an intense heat. From the skin to the flesh to the organs to the bones. Layer by layer, the temperature rose steadily. Lin Yuan's expression remained calm. This level of pain was nothing to him. To others, Lin Yuan was just a 20-something-year-old genius evolver. But in reality, Lin Yuan had lived through 3 lifetimes, totaling more than 200 years. Though he was still far younger than the average age among 4th-rank evolvers, adapting to the pain inflicted by Jiuli water was naturally easy for him. Hiss. Chapter 105 Chikuan Star-Lord _2 As the Jiuli liquid continued to be absorbed, Lin Yuan's physique was constantly improving. Streaks of black impurities began to appear on the surface of his skin. Previously, the transformation technique for the flesh Lin Yuan cultivated from Lulan He had already metamorphosed his entire body once. However, now the effects of the Jiuli liquid were penetrating deeper, cleansing his flesh once more. Half a day later, Lin Yuan opened his eyes. My body, Lin Yuan felt an astonishing strength within him, is at least 30 to 50% stronger than before I used the Jiuli liquid. The flesh is the foundation of everything, a strong body fosters a strong soul. Unfortunately, the Jiuli liquid is only useful the first time it's used. After a moment of reflection, Lin Yuan opened his eyes, a tinge of regret on his face. In fact, it wasn't just Jiuli liquid, the vast majority of treasures that could greatly strengthen the body or soul came with many restrictions, effective only upon the first use. It couldn't be more normal. Virtual world. Sparring zone. This area was specifically designed for evolvers to spar with one another. I can't take any more. I can't. Fang Qing's voice trembled, and his body was sent flying backward, spitting out mouthfuls of blood. If this were not in the virtual world, such an event in reality would have left Fang Qing severely injured, requiring months of rest to recover. Brother Lin, you're too powerful. Even when suppressing your strength to a third-rank level, I still can't beat you. Fang Qing's injuries rapidly healed as he looked at Lin Yuan and said with a bitter expression. It's okay, try a few more times. Lin Yuan smiled slightly. The reason he was sparring with Fang Qing was entirely because Fang Qing took the initiative to seek him out. Not long after moving to the Central Continent Manor, Fang Qing, who had also relocated there, took the initiative to approach Lin Yuan. Fang Qing's manor was located several dozen miles away from Lin Yuan's manor, essentially making them neighbors. As they went back and forth, they became acquainted and often sparred in the virtual world. Lin Yuan was indeed very willing. The ancient god's evolution path that Fang Qing cultivated was an evolution path surpassing the 6th rank. During the previous scoring competition, Lin Yuan had a moment of insight, but due to the time constraints of the competition, he had to end it hastily. Now that Fang Qing was presenting himself, Lin Yuan saw no reason to refuse. Every time he fought with Fang Qing, Lin Yuan gained something from him. Of course, Fang Qing was completely unaware of this. Not only Fang Qing but even his intelligent life mentor, the white-bearded old man, would never imagine that Lin Yuan's insight was so terrifying. After only a few exchanges, Lin Yuan could almost completely learn his opponent's strengths. They thought Lin Yuan was just a very enthusiastic evolver, actively helping Fang Qing to practice. Okay. Fang Qing seemed to think of something, immediately regained his motivation and charged at Lin Yuan once again. As he charged, an ancient god phantom faintly appeared, mimicking the same movements behind Fang Qing. Ancient god. Lin Yuan looked at the phantom behind Fang Qing with a slightly solemn expression. Through so many exchanges, Lin Yuan had realized that these so-called ancient gods were also a form of powerful life. This life was so strong that it merged its life marks into the rules of the world. As a result, any creature that cultivated according to the laws it left behind could invoke the power pervading the universe. Of course, to summon an ancient god phantom, there must be a certain degree of similarity with the corresponding ancient god. This threshold doesn't seem high, but it's very difficult to achieve. What kind of existence were the ancient gods? To reach a certain degree of similarity with an ancient god, out of the billions of creatures, there might not even be one. Boom. The ancient god phantom behind Fang Qing raised its right fist, preparing to smash it down. But Lin Yuan grabbed it with his hand and gently crumbled it to dust. What? Fang Qing spit out blood once again and flew backward. No more, I can't fight anymore. Fang Qing was almost in tears. The white-bearded old man once told him that only through constant combat with an opponent could one ultimately overcome them. With that in mind, Fang Qing actively sought out Lin Yuan to try his luck. The result was clear, he simply couldn't win. Not at all. Even when Lin Yuan, seeing Fang Qing's pitiful state, voluntarily offered to reduce his strength and fight at a third-rank realm, he still couldn't win. The two were simply not on the same level. Go and rest well for a while. Come back tomorrow? Lin Yuan's mind was enlightened. Through constant contact with the ancient god Phantom, Lin Yuan had already vaguely understood what the essence of the evolution skill that transcended 6th rank was and how it differed from other evolution paths. This was important. Even though Lin Yuan was currently only 4th rank as the founder who blazed a new evolution path, he needed a broader vision to judge the direction to take next. Other evolvers simply needed to practice according to a complete evolution path and did not need to do so. But Lin Yuan was different. He needed to ascertain the next direction. Rules. Still rules. My direction is not wrong. As for why the potential limit of the evolution path still has no hope of reaching 7th rank, it's because my understanding of the rules is too superficial. Lin Yuan thought silently to himself. The rules of the main world were vast, and the bit of rule essence Lin Yuan had perceived in the Divine Arms world was insignificant compared to the main world, not even amounting to dust. Elsewhere. Fang Qing also returned to her personal space, her mood heavy. Teacher, do you think I have any chance of surpassing Big Brother Lin, even if we include the very distant future? Fang Qing couldn't help but ask. Whoosh. An old man with white beard appeared, sitting on Fang Qing's shoulder. The white-bearded old man was only the size of a palm, but his face showed an expression of disbelief. A genius, I never thought I'd see the day when I was wrong, the white-bearded old man muttered to himself in wonder. Ah. Fang Qing's face slightly reddened. Idiot, I'm not talking about you. The white-bearded old man glanced at Fang Qing. That Lin Yuan, he's actually touched upon the origin rules. Without guidance from an evolution path beyond 6th rank, to be able to touch the origin rules, such a genius, even an entire star domain might not see many, the white-bearded old man spoke with a tone of amazement. During the ranking match of the competition, Lin Yuan suppressed Fang Qing with the Taiji domain. So the white-bearded old man didn't realize, only feeling that Lin Yuan was rolling over her with the force of 4th rank, bullying the weak. But after those dozens of sparring matches, especially when Lin Yuan suppressed his strength to 3rd rank, the white-bearded old man immediately realized that Lin Yuan had begun to contact the origin rules. With such comprehension, the possibility of stepping into 6th rank in the future was at least 50%, even greater than Fang Qing, who possessed the ancient god evolution skill. Ah! Fang Qing looked utterly confounded. Don't even think about defeating Lin Yuan, it's unrealistic unless you have some great fortune in the future. With normal development you have no such hope. The white-bearded old man fell into contemplation. He looked at Fang Qing, then thought of Lin Yuan from just before and suddenly felt frustrated. All right. Fang Qing shrank his head slightly, somewhat unable to look the white-bearded old man in the eye. He had the feeling that if it were possible to change the inheritor, the white-bearded old man would probably be thinking about how to replace him and choose Lin Yuan right now. In the depths of space, a colossal creature was wandering. It was entirely red and its size was dozens of times that of Kanglin's star. Ooh, where am I? I was just taking a nap. Just then the colossal creature opened its eyes, and just the irises alone were comparable to half a planet. Whoosh! The colossal creature's form shifted, suddenly beginning to shrink. In the blink of an eye, it transformed into an old man over 2 meters tall. He was dressed in a red robe, standing in the cosmos, with energy fluctuations nearly as powerful as those of a star. Qikuan Star Lord, it's time for you to return. Just then a solemn and serene voice sounded. Goddess of Wisdom, the man in the red robe, the Qikuan Star Lord, stretched lazily at this point. Right. The competition should be almost over by now. Qikuan Star Lord thought, connecting to the virtual world. Last time I picked the Nolan star system. This time, let's go with the Dawn star system. They'll see which geniuses have emerged from this competition. As Qikuan Star Lord grumbled, he began to watch. With each passing moment, nearly 100 million matches flashed by. Suddenly, the competition footage froze. Qikuan Star Lord raised his eyebrows. Chapter 1067 Star Cave, Red Kuan Lineage. The cold starry sky shimmered with surprise in the eyes of the Qikuan Star Lord. As a Star Lord, a being surpassing the 6th rank, it was rare for him to display such an emotion. This competition has indeed brought forth quite a number of geniuses, he mused. The match footage in front of the Qikuan Star Lord suddenly froze before splitting into over 100 different screens, each playing a different match video. These 100-some screens corresponded to the over 100 Evolver contestants. These individuals were precisely the geniuses the Qikuan Star Lord referred to. The Dawn star system, one of the 8 major star systems within the Qikuan star domain, boasts 120,000 life planets. Competitions were held on each of these 120,000 life planets, with ranks being assigned. Out of such a vast base of Evolvers, the Qikuan Star Lord selected just over 100, meticulously chosen as one among hundreds of billions. The Qikuan Star Lord's gaze lingered significantly on the first 3 screens. The Evolvers on these 3 screens were a silver-haired woman, a man with a third eye on his forehead, and a burly man wielding a giant hammer. Spatial talent. Indeed a promising seed, observed the Chiquan Star Lord as he watched the battle footage of the silver-haired woman and slightly nodded. I didn't expect a member of the Tri-Eye clan? The Chiquan Star Lord glanced at the three-eyed man. The Tri-Eye clan, a branch of the human race, although a part of the human race, also has different branches, such as being classified into yellow, white, and black people based on skin color. The Tri-Eye clan is an incredibly rare and unusual variant within the human race. So rare that they cannot form a specific family line, because their heritage is not inherited from father to son but awakens randomly. And the odds are frighteningly low. Currently within the entire Cosmic Human Alliance, the Tri-Eye clan's numbers do not exceed 100,000, scattered across various human territories. Of course, their scarce numbers endow the Tri-Eye clan with extraordinarily strong talents. It is said that the third eye on the forehead of the Tri-Eye clan can see the cosmic rules of operation and unleash a strike far surpassing their own strength. He grasps the basics of the rule of power. Stepping into the 6th rank in the future won't be an issue, the Chiquan Star Lord considered while looking at the burly man with the hammer. According to comparisons with previous competitions, the appearance of one such individual was considered fortunate. This time, the emergence of 3 such individuals was indeed surprising and unexpected for the Chiquan Star Lord. After observing the first 3 evolvers, the Chiquan Star Lord's gaze continued downwards. When he reached the 68th position, the Chiquan Star Lord saw Lin Yuan. 2 extreme attribute rules, that's a difficult path ahead, the Chiquan Star Lord commented before paying no further attention. A difficult path, yes, but only for those below the 6th rank. In his mighty view as the Chiquan Star Lord, it was just so. Since this competition has released so many geniuses, it's time to open the 7-star cave trial, he decided. The Chiquan Star Lord thought for a moment, waved his hand and decreed, these 118 evolvers, the top 3 will be granted chi patterns, the next 115 will receive gold patterns, additionally, the top 10 from each planet's competition will all receive silver patterns. All will enter the 7-star cave. Central Continent Manor. Lin Yuan had just finished training and was connecting to the virtual world, intending to seek out Feng Qing for a spar to explore the ancient god evolution path. Suddenly, a prompt appeared before him. You will soon enter the 7-star cave world. Please prepare yourself. 5, 4, 3, the countdown began. Lin Yuan looked astonished. This was the first time he encountered, within the virtual world, being forcefully pulled over without his consent. There wasn't even an option to refuse. The next moment, the countdown ended. Lin Yuan's surroundings shifted, bringing him to a massive white jade plaza. At this moment, Lin Yuan could only see the scenery a few meters around him, with the farther surroundings shrouded in layers of hazy fog. Please adjust your appearance, body shape, a mechanical-like voice echoed in his ears. Is it to hide my identity? Lin Yuan thought to himself, making slight modifications to his appearance and physique, rendering his overall demeanor a bit colder. Once Lin Yuan finished adjusting, the fog around him suddenly dispersed. Lin Yuan looked up and saw that the plaza was scattered with 1,000,000 evolvers. The aura of these evolvers varied, with the least being at the 3rd rank and many even being at the 4th rank. The patterns on their faces? Lin Yuan distinctly noticed that each evolver had a silver pattern on the side of their faces. Why is mine gold? Lin Yuan touched his own face. Though he couldn't see it with his eyes, at his level of perception he could intuit every detail about himself. And this 7-star cave world? Lin Yuan looked around the plaza, harboring some guesses in his mind. They must know something. Lin Yuan looked towards a nearby spot where 3 evolvers were gathered, whispering among themselves. Lin Yuan walked over. These 3 evolvers clearly noticed Lin Yuan. Especially when they saw the gold pattern on the side of Lin Yuan's face, their expressions immediately showed fear. Respected Lord Gold Pattern. Before Lin Yuan could approach, the leading evolver among the 3 bowed slightly to Lin Yuan. Lord Gold Pattern? Lin Yuan's expression remained unchanged, guessing Gold Pattern referred to the gold pattern on his own face. Which meant that gold was more prestigious than silver? At least from the expressions of these 3 evolvers, Lin Yuan could draw such a conclusion. Yes. Lin Yuan replied casually. We 3 are from the IC Star. May I ask which star you hail from, Lord Gold Pattern? Moon Spirit Star, Lin Yuan replied offhandedly. Chapter 1077 Star Cave, Red Kuan Lineage _2 Moon Spirit Star, a higher life planet in the Dawn Star system, was also the birthplace of the Origin Force evolution path that Lin Yuan had purchased. Moon Spirit Star, I have heard of it, a very powerful planet. I never expected that in this year's arena competition on Moon Spirit Star, a Lord Gold pattern would emerge. In this trial of the 7-star cave, Lord Gold pattern will certainly pass. Through the active flattery of these three evolvers, Lin Yuan immediately understood the purpose of the 7-star cave world. A trial by the Chiquan Star Lord? Lin Yuan thought to himself. As the arena competition moved toward its latter stages, Lin Yuan had realized that the top 10 competitors might eventually catch the attention of the Chiquan Star Lord. Even the Goddess of Wisdom had been subtly hinting to Lin Yuan to seize this opportunity. In the global top 10 contest, Lin Yuan erupted with 4th rank power, also displaying his talent. Initially, Lin Yuan had thought that at most he would receive some kind of reward from the Chiquan Star Lord. The 7-star cave world is a virtual world specially created by the Chiquan Star Lord to test geniuses. As long as one conquers the 7-star caves, they are eligible to enter the Red Kuan lineage. Of course, before entering the 7-star cave world, the Chiquan Star Lord will grant red pattern, gold pattern and silver pattern marks based on each evolver's performance in the arena competition. The highest status is the red pattern. Evolvers who receive the red pattern are generally limitless in potential, the future seeds of 6th rank. Although the gold pattern is not as prestigious as the red pattern, its bearers are also unparalleled geniuses. A star domain can produce only a few, and they are very likely to advance to 6th rank in the future. As for the silver pattern, these are given to the top 10 of each planet's arena competition. Although these silver pattern evolvers are the stars watched by everyone on their respective planets, here they seem quite ordinary. Who here isn't such an entity? The Red Kuan lineage. Lin Yuan's eyes heated slightly. Undoubtedly, the Red Kuan lineage was the strongest force in the entire Chiquan Star domain, and the Chiquan Star Lord was a being that surpassed the fallen star level. If Lin Yuan could join such a force, it would greatly benefit his own growth. Not to mention other advantages, just the safety aspect would allow Lin Yuan to not worry for a long time into the future. Moreover, if he could come into close contact with an existence like the Chiquan Star Lord and receive guidance for Lin Yuan, the effect would be far greater than solitary contemplation. Against Heaven's understanding was especially adept at this. Just how to get through the 7-star caves, Lin Yuan fell into thought. To know how to get through the 7-star caves, he needed to know the specifics. For instance, through what method should one advance? Knowing the content of the challenge in advance would naturally amplify his advantage. Although Lin Yuan currently possessed 4th rank strength and had begun to perceive many rules, he did not underestimate the other evolvers at all. Not to mention those evolvers of the same gold pattern. Above gold pattern there was still red pattern. An existence like the Chiquan Star Lord, having designated him a gold pattern, surely did not think he met the standard of the red pattern yet. That is to say, red pattern evolvers were stronger than Lin Yuan as he was now. While Lin Yuan was pondering upon the vast white jade plaza, a majestic virtual shadow suddenly emerged. In 24 hours the 7-star cave trial will officially begin. Friendly reminder, the 7-star cave trial consists of 7 stages, and passing through the 7-star caves indicates success. Finally, the trial process must not be disclosed, or there will be penalties from the Cosmic Human Alliance and the Star Lord. Having said this, the majestic virtual shadow disappeared. Not allowed to disclose the trial process? Lin Yuan frowned slightly. They were required to do so, and past evolvers who came to the 7-star cave world would certainly have been bound by this restriction. This meant that obtaining information about the trials would be significantly more difficult. Because the barrier to information was higher, there would be fewer who knew, and consequently, obtaining relevant information would become harder. Perhaps those evolvers from large forces with strong backing knew the content of the trial, but they certainly wouldn't just tell Lin Yuan for no reason. Hello, I come from the Morning Star. A short-haired man approached. The pattern on his cheek, just like Lin Yuan's, was golden. Morning Star. Lin Yuan took another look at the man. Morning Star, the main planet of the Dawn Star system, was the most prosperous area of the entire star system, and it was also the place with the most high-rank evolvers, even including 6th rank fallen star warriors. Moon Spirit Star. Lin Yuan nodded. Shall we exchange information? The short-haired man suddenly lowered his voice. Being acknowledged as a gold pattern evolver by the Chiquan Star Lord meant almost certainly beginning to contact the Origin Rule as a supreme genius. Such a genius likely had the backing of a powerful force behind him. Although the trial of the 7-star cave world was strictly not to be disclosed for large forces, there were many ways to circumvent the rules, simply at a cost. You go first. Upon hearing this, Lin Yuan immediately thought of a plan to benefit from the situation. After all, even if he could not produce any information, the other party couldn't really do anything to him. Which of the 7-star caves is the toughest? The short-haired man wasn't foolish and decided to probe with a question first. Which one? Lin Yuan's expression remained unchanged. He didn't know, so how could he determine which one? The 7th cave, Lin Yuan said confidently. Based on Lin Yuan's past experiences, it was highly probable that the last challenge was the toughest. You're lying to me. The short-haired man turned and walked away. Lin Yuan was not without gains. At the very least, he now knew that the toughest of the 7-star caves wasn't the 7th. Chapter 108 7-star cave Red Kuan lineage Undersuri. Is the first challenge the hardest? Lin Yuan pondered. This did not align with the typical logic of passing stages. What if the first challenge eliminated everyone? Another gold pattern evolver approached. The first challenge is the hardest, Lin Yuan replied. You lack sincerity. The gold pattern evolver shook his head, giving Lin Yuan a strange look, then turned and walked away. Next, several more gold pattern evolvers tried to exchange information with Lin Yuan. Evolver capable of appearing in the 7-star cave world were at least 3rd rank. There was definitely no problem with their intelligence, and they would not let Lin Yuan freeload the challenge details. Honorable Lord Gold Pattern, a silver pattern evolver with a side profile walked in. I know the information about the 7-star cave challenges and am willing to divulge it without any compensation, the silver pattern evolver said directly. Having observed Lin Yuan for a long time at his side, he confirmed that Lin Yuan knew very little about the 7-star cave. What are the conditions? Lin Yuan asked calmly. I hope Lord Gold Pattern will do 3 things for me when entering the trial ground, the silver pattern evolver stated. What 3 things? Lin Yuan looked at the other, inquiring. I don't know that, the silver pattern evolver shook his head. The 7-star cave trials are ever-changing, and no one knows before the trials begin. Then forget it, Lin Yuan shook his head in refusal. This request was too broad. What if the other party asked Lin Yuan to kill a red pattern evolver or to give up his chance to pass? To give it or not to give it? Really not interested? The 7-star cave challenge information is invaluable. If you know it beforehand and prepare accordingly, your chance of passing will greatly increase. The silver pattern evolver saw Lin Yuan refuse, slightly disappointed but did not give up. Unless you first specify what those tasks are, Lin Yuan said again. I will only know once I go in, the silver pattern evolver, seeing Lin Yuan was uncompromising, could only leave regretfully. After being approached by several evolvers wanting to bargain with sky-high demands for the challenge information, Lin Yuan simply disconnected from the virtual world and returned to reality. Central Continent Manor, main building's underground training field. Lin Yuan rubbed his temples, lost in brief thought. Information is crucial, Lin Yuan was well aware. This is much like an exam. One person gets the answers beforehand while another has to rely solely on their wits. The situations they face are naturally different. Even the matter of the 7-star cave could present an even greater disparity than not having the answers. If it were just the answers with Lin Yuan's against heaven's understanding, even without the answers he could still score full marks. But in the trials of the 7-star cave, if other evolvers took advantage of the information to deliberately trap or set up Lin Yuan, a slight mistake could mean direct elimination. Ask the Goddess of Wisdom. Lin Yuan began connecting to the Goddess of Wisdom. Given the Goddess of Wisdom's status in the Cosmic Human Alliance, she definitely knew the contents of the 7-star cave trial. But it was a matter of whether she was willing to divulge it. Citizen Lin Yuan, your authority is insufficient. The Goddess of Wisdom's solemn, cool voice came. This was not unexpected for Lin Yuan. The rules of the 7-star cave trial prohibited the passing of the trial process. Otherwise, it would result in punishment by the Human Alliance and the Star Lord. The punishment from the Human Alliance here was crucial, implying that divulging such information would violate Alliance law. In such cases, the Goddess of Wisdom would definitely not inform. After all, one of the foundational operations of the 3 great goddesses was based on Alliance law. Never mind. Even without the information, I can still get through the 7 caves, Lin Yuan sighed, already planning to give up. A few evolvers were aware of the 7-star cave challenge information, something the Chiquan Star Lord was definitely aware of, yet it was not prevented. Clearly, it was believed that even without prior information, there was still a possibility to get through the 7 caves. Strength is the foundation of everything. Lin Yuan closed his eyes and continued his cultivation. Meanwhile, outside the manor number 66 where Lin Yuan was located, a guest had arrived. The guest was none other than Fang Qing. At the moment, Fang Qing looked numb. The continuous roaring of the old man with the white beard echoed in his ears. "You fool, you're not as strong as Lin Yuan, not to mention far behind in aptitude. At this time, if you're not thinking about making friends with him, what are you waiting for?" The 7-star cave challenge information was specially prepared by the master when he was alive. "Aren't you going to deliver it to Lin Yuan right now? Delay any longer and by the time Lin Yuan gets the information, won't your delivery be too late?" The relentless urging of the old man with the white beard persisted. Chapter 109, Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan, Subscription Request, Central Continent Manor. Main building, 3rd floor. Lin Yuan and Fang Qing sat facing each other. "Brother Lin, I learned some information about the 7-star cave trial ahead of time and thought to share it with you," Fang Qing said without any delay. The roar of the bearded old man still echoed in his ears. Fang Qing was not willing to endure that torment again. "Oh." Lin Yuan was slightly moved. The 7-star cave trial by the Chiquan Star Lord and its related information was blocked by the Cosmic Human Alliance and the Chiquan Star Lord himself. Under such conditions, an evolver who could still know such information. None was without an extraordinary background, and behind them stood at least a towering figure from a high-level life planet, firmly in control of a region. Or it was a major force stationed by a 6th-rank fallen star. As a middle-grade life planet, Kanglan Star fundamentally lacked the conditions to birth such a force. "It seems the speculation is true." Lin Yuan looked serious as he faced Fang Qing. During the arena competition, someone had collected information on the top 50 evolvers. The conjecture about Fang Qing was that he had likely received a great opportunity and inherited something from a powerful evolver. Later, when Fang Qing revealed the techniques of the ancient god evolution path, it further proved this conjecture. The ancient god evolution path involves cultivating with reference to a powerful ancient god from the depths of the starry skies. Without extremely detailed guidance, cultivators could easily neglect and become contaminated by the ancient god, thus becoming a servant or even a puppet incarnation of this ancient god. For those powerful beings, a glance or a thought was enough to destroy countless lower-level lives. The Cosmic Human Alliance does not include the ancient god evolution path among the publicized paths because the risks of cultivation are too great. With other evolution paths, at worst you die if you fail in cultivation. But with the ancient god evolution path, any mishap directly makes you an incarnation for the ancient god. Of course, the human civilization of the universe merely prohibits the widespread dissemination of the ancient god evolution path. It doesn't completely eradicate it. The reason being, many ancient gods in the depths of the starry skies have either perished or disappeared over the long course of history. Cultivating the ancient god evolution path carries certain risks but also potentially allows one to inherit the authority and everything of that ancient god. In short, since Fang Qing dares to cultivate the ancient god evolution path, he must possess detailed guidance for this path, and perhaps even a dedicated intelligent life form constantly correcting any issues during his cultivation. But I know nothing about the test in the 7-star cave. Fang Qing came to share information and logically, Lin Yuan should share information with him so he had to make excuses. "No worries. We are both from Kanglan Star and we should help each other." Fang Qing waved his hand, stating that information could be considered priceless or worthless since it doesn't require any follow-up costs. "However, before we talk, Brother Lin, please let the Goddess of Wisdom stop monitoring, as information about the 7-star cave is explicitly forbidden by the Alliance." Fang Qing seemed reminded of something and hurriedly spoke. This manor was Lin Yuan's territory, so only he had the privacy rights to dismiss the Goddess of Wisdom. "All right." Lin Yuan nodded, then connected with the Goddess of Wisdom to make her temporarily ignore what was happening here. Having done all this, Fang Qing started to talk about the information concerning the 7-star cave trial. Actually, the 7-star cave trial rarely occurs. It generally opens only when the Chiquan Star Lord is in a good mood, said Fang Qing wistfully. The Chiquan Star Domain has 8 major star systems. After each arena competition, the Chiquan Star Lord selects one star system and tests the top 10 from each life planet within it. The majority of the trials are standard affairs, just to fulfill the requirements of the Cosmic Human Alliance. Only when a true genius appears do they consider opening the 7-star cave. But this is also our opportunity. Once the 7-star cave trial begins, the 12 disciples of the Chiquan Star Lord will start paying attention. Just by passing through the 7 caves, you have a chance to be accepted as a disciple of one of these 12. Fang Qing paused briefly before continuing. Don't underestimate these 12 disciples. The weakest among them are at the 6th rank fallen star level, and the strongest 2 or 3 have even surpassed the 6th rank. Surpassed the 6th rank? Lin Yuan was slightly shaken. Let alone surpassing the 6th rank, even a 6th rank was still quite far away for him. According to Lin Yuan's estimate, he would need 2 to 3 more shifts, around a few hundred years, to break through to the 6th rank. Of course, these few hundred years referred to time spent traveling to other worlds. The passing of time in the main world should not be very long. Even so, to the current Lin Yuan, the 6th rank fallen star level was still something to look up to. So, during the trial, you must try your hardest to show your best, because every action of everyone is being watched by those 12 disciples. Even if you fail the 7-star cave trial, as long as you impress those 12, you can still join the Red Kuan lineage, Fang Qing spoke in a lowered voice. This information was so confidential that many fallen star level forces were not aware of it. It was a closely guarded secret. Even his teacher had spent a lot of effort to find it out during his lifetime. I see, Lin Yuan nodded slightly and firmly memorized it. But so far we haven't talked about the content of the trial. Realizing something, Fang Qing grinned and said, actually, the trial of the 7-star cave is not complicated. It consists of 7 caves. Chapter 110 Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan, subscribe please. _2 Every star cave is a test. As for the specific content of the test, it constantly changes, but in summary, it is a test of the physical body, speed, willpower, soul, and wisdom. Fang Qing spoke. I see. Lin Yuan suddenly understood. No wonder the other evolvers who took the test asked him which star cave was the most difficult. Whether Lin Yuan answered that the 1st star cave was the hardest, or the 7-star cave was the hardest, both answers were wrong. In reality, which star cave is the most difficult and which is the simplest is entirely subjective. For example, if an evolver excels in speed, then the star cave that tests speed would be the simplest for him. If an evolver's soul is the weakest, then the star cave that tests the soul would be the hardest for him. So the specific answer to this question is, there is no hardest or weakest. However, in my view, what the Qikuan Star Lord values the most in evolvers is their wisdom. As for the other aspects, talent, bloodline, and so on, these can only determine one's lower limit. To truly reach the peak, to step into the 6th rank, to surpass the 6th rank, wisdom is the most important, Fang Qing said earnestly. This statement wasn't actually his own. It came from his teacher who had already perished long ago. That's because the Qikuan Star Lord himself possesses one of the most peak bloodlines in the cosmic starry sky, Lin Yuan said with a smile. There were many rumors related to the Qikuan Star Lord, the main one being that when he was at the 5th rank, he explored unknown star domains in a battleship and randomly discovered a planet. The creatures on this planet had already gone extinct, and even the planet itself was about to be devoured. The reason was that this planet had become a breeding ground for a special life form, the Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan. The Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan is one of the most powerful special life forms in the universe, extremely rare, with adults being at the 6th rank and as large as a normal planet. Generally speaking, when an adult Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan is about to have offspring, it will choose a planet and inject the offspring, still in their eggs, into the core of the planet. It uses the geothermal heat for incubation. During this period, the larva of the Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan begins to slowly devour all the energy of the planet. By the time the Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan is close to adulthood, the planet would have been essentially devoured. At that time, the Qikuan Star Lord who was at the 5th rank discovered a planet being slowly devoured by the larva of a Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan. However, it must have been the early stage of the devouring process, as the Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan larva only had a vague consciousness and acted on instinct. Realizing this, the Qikuan Star Lord immediately knew an opportunity had come. In the vast universe, with countless planets, encountering a planet incubating a Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan larva was a probability less than 1 in a trillion. Once he confirmed his suspicion, the Qikuan Star Lord immediately used the seizure secret technique of the Cosmic Human Alliance to take over the body of that Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan larva. This special life form can be called the favorite of the cosmic starry skies, reaching the 6th rank upon maturity, and moreover, it is at the peak within the 6th rank with its size evident. Comparable to the size of a regular planet, how much energy does it contain? It would probably be enough to make a regular 6th rank fallen star warrior despair. The Qikuan Star Lord became known as Qikuan because his true form was a Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan. Of course, after seizing the Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan, the Qikuan Star Lord secretly cultivated for thousands of years, successfully broke through the 6th rank, stepped into the 7th rank, and then returned to the Cosmic Human Alliance. It was then confirmed by the powerhouses of the Cosmic Human Alliance that the soul of the Qikuan Star Lord was from the human race, not a different species in disguise, which allowed him to firmly establish himself among the human race. All in all, the experience of the Chiquan Star Lord was like he had cheated his way through life. That's the Starry Sky Wanderer Kuan. The peak bloodline of the universe, and the lower limit is the goal that countless members of the human race look up to for their whole lives. There's some truth to that. Fang Qing was stunned, then nodded in agreement. Compared to the Chiquan Star Lord, his own adventures were nothing at all. By the way, when you first entered the 7-star cave world, did you change your appearance or body shape? Fang Qing looked at Lin Yuan, his tone showing concern. I changed it, Lin Yuan nodded. When he heard this prompt, Lin Yuan took the initiative to change. After all, it wasn't a waste of anything, so there was no need not to listen. That's good. Fang Qing breathed a sigh of relief. For the 7-star cave test, although we are not competing against each other, it's still best not to expose our real identities, Fang Qing explained. After all, the video of the arena match will be broadcasted far and wide. If by any chance we encounter some lunatic with hostility towards us who is also participating in the test, it could be troublesome. This kind of trouble comes without cause, so it's best to change one's appearance and stature, keeping everyone unrecognizable, and if no one interferes with each other's interests, they are unlikely to take action easily. After informing Lin Yuan about all the information on the 7-star cave test, Fang Qing didn't ask further, nor did he probe into what Lin Yuan looked like in the 7-star cave world. He then got up and left. After all, if Lin Yuan knew what Fang Qing looked like, would he help or not if Fang Qing encountered any trouble during the test period? Fang Qing proactively informed Lin Yuan of this information, which was entirely a kind of investment. If she inquired about Lin Yuan's appearance after the fact, it would seem like she was using a favor to gain something in return. Returning to his estate, Fang Qing connected to the virtual world, appearing within his personal space. Whoosh! A palm-sized, white-bearded old man appeared on Fang Qing's shoulder. Not bad. The white-bearded old man nodded and praised. That Lin Yuan, there's a high possibility he'll be a 6th-rank Fallen Star warrior in the future. By taking the initiative to provide information when he needed it, you should have made a connection with him. The white-bearded old man said with satisfaction. The strong are lonely, but they also flock together. In the vast and boundless cosmos, the strongest are never individuals, but the human race, the insect race, and many other peak clans. It is these clans that occupy the most fertile territories of the universe, continuously nurturing countless strong beings. The white-bearded old man's former master, the one who passed down the ancient god evolution path heritage, was a naturally reclusive person, which resulted in not having a single friend come forward when he was being hunted by enemies. That was why the white-bearded old man strongly encouraged Fang Qing to make every effort to form ties with Lin Yuan. I wonder how many star caves big brother Lin will be able to get through, Fang Qing said with a tone of curiosity. If my guess is correct, with your big brother Lin's talent and identity in the 7-star cave world, he should be marked with a gold stripe. The white-bearded old man glanced at Fang Qing. Gold stripe. Fang Qing took a deep breath, understanding that a gold stripe was not only a matter of identity but also recognition from the Chiquan Star Lord. Getting through the 7-star cave shouldn't be a problem. For your big brother Lin, what's important is choosing which disciple of Chiquan Star Lord to follow, the white-bearded old man spoke up. Even among the 12 disciples of Chiquan Star Lord, there is a hierarchy of strength, with the top 3 naturally being the best. They were entities that transcended the 6th rank. The remaining 9 were also not bad, all being of 6th rank Fallen Star level. If one really had to pick, the top 3 would definitely be better. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 24 hours had gone by. Lin Yuan's mind stirred, and he connected to the virtual world, appearing on White Jade Plaza in the 7-star cave world. At that moment, the plaza was scattered with a large number of evolvers. These evolvers were either standing alone or gathering in pairs and small groups. Most of the evolvers, unaware of the content of the test, would subconsciously stick together. Just then, a towering figure appeared. He looked down at the many evolvers and declared in a booming voice, "Time is up, I assume everyone is almost ready. Next, I will repeat the rules of the 7-star cave test. The 7-star cave test is divided into 7-star caves. Your goal is to pass through these 7-star caves. Each person can spend up to a month in each star cave. If you still haven't passed after a month, you will be considered a failure. If you die during the attempt, that too will be deemed a failure." After the towering figure finished speaking, he waved his hand, and over 1,000,000 evolvers on the White Jade Plaza quickly disappeared. At the same time, in a mysterious space in the 7-star cave world, 12 figures appeared. These 12 figures were seated in 2 places. The 3 figures were higher up, while the 9 figures were seated further down. Based on the aura and pressure, it was evident that the 3 figures above were superior to the 9 figures below. These 12 figures were naturally the 12 disciples of the Chiquan Star Lord. At the start of every 7-star cave test, they would each send a sliver of their consciousness to choose their disciples. Chapter 111, The First Star Cave. Subscribe please. The teacher has finally opened up the 7-star cave world. When was the last time the teacher opened up the 7-star cave world? I remember it was 300 years ago. The 12 silhouettes were chatting with each other, all appearing quite leisurely. Normally, these fellow disciples each had their own business to attend to, and it was rare for them to gather together like this. This time's test has produced quite a few promising candidates, or else the teacher wouldn't have opened the 7-star cave world. They say there's a member of the Tri-Human clan. If the eldest senior and the second and third seniors aren't interested, then I'll reserve that Tri-Human in advance. The Tri clan holds a special status within the Human Alliance. To take a disciple from the Tri clan is equivalent to forming a connection with other higher-rank members of their race. I want to compete for it too. The 12 silhouettes all began to speak. There were few Tri clan members, but their talents were extremely powerful. At present, the number of the Tri clan within human civilization didn't exceed 100,000. And they were scattered across various territories. Therefore, even without direct bloodline connections, there was a peculiar sense of closeness between members of the Tri clan. It was like meeting fellow countrymen in a foreign land. With the aptitude of the Tri clan, it was easy for them to produce high-rank evolvers. Taking in a disciple from the Tri clan was akin to establishing relations with these high-rank evolvers. It would make anything in the future negotiable. Of course, even without this relationship, the 12 silhouettes would still be very keen to take them in as disciples. After all, their qualification was evident. A member of the Tri clan with careful cultivation could easily step into the 6th rank. I'm not interested in the Tri clan, but that Ling is mine. At this moment, the foremost figure among them slowly spoke up. Ling was the woman with silver hair. The Chiquan Star Lord had commented that her space talent was not bad, one of the 3 red patterns, the number 1 existence among the hundreds of thousands of evolvers this time. Since the eldest senior has spoken, then she's yours. Ling has considerable space talent. Only our eldest senior is capable of cultivating her. Indeed. Having said that, the remaining 11 silhouettes began to discuss other evolvers. Among the hundreds of thousands of evolvers, only the 3 with red patterns and a few with gold patterns were worth their active competition. As for the rest of the evolvers, they would wait until they made it to the 7-star cave. So this is the 1st-star cave? Lin Yuan began to observe his surroundings. According to the information provided by Feng Qing, the 1st-star cave's test likely pertained to the physical body. Of course, it wasn't absolute, but if not the physical body, then it would be the soul or perhaps mental consciousness, insight and so on. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Just as Lin Yuan was observing, one evolver after another was transported over from the White Jade Plaza. Many evolvers looked around nervously. The nearby scenery wasn't complicated, resembling a wilderness, with a black racetrack tens of miles wide in the middle. Once all the evolvers had arrived, that towering figure appeared once again. The trial of the 1st-star cave is very simple, just walk to the end of this black racetrack. The towering figure raised his hand, pointing to the black racetrack. Within 1 month, as long as you reach the end, you can enter the 2nd-star cave. After speaking, the towering figure vanished. Instantly, the venue erupted into a huge commotion. The problem wasn't that the test was too difficult. It was too simple. The black racetrack was tens of miles wide and at most 100 miles long. Therefore, within a month to walk 100 miles. Even an ordinary citizen could cover 100 miles in just a day or 2 at most. Let alone the lowest among those present were 3rd-rank evolvers. Reach the end point? Lin Yuan didn't rush into action but stood still and observed. He believed the test wouldn't be so simple, as the elimination rate in the first trial of past 7-star cave challenges was terrifyingly high. Let others go ahead and try first. Lin Yuan was in no hurry. One could stay in each star cave for a month. Even if he lingered here for a month, there would be no impact as long as he entered the 2nd-star cave at the last moment. Someone is bound to be too impatient. Lin Yuan's gaze swept over the surroundings. After just a short while, a few of the silver pattern evolvers seemed to get restless. Among the hundreds of thousands of evolvers, the silver pattern evolvers were the most numerous, with the red pattern and gold pattern evolvers combined numbering a little over 100. It was precisely for this reason that the 7-star cave challenge was particularly stimulating for the silver pattern evolvers. Imagine that every silver pattern evolver was among the top 10 existences on their respective planets, esteemed and sought after by many forces. But upon arriving in the 7-star cave world, they found that there were more than 1 million others just like them. This gap between their former and current perception made a minority of the silver pattern evolvers undergo a change in mentality. Someone here wants to see just what's so extraordinary about this 7-star cave challenge. A burly man with a wild appearance strode forward. As this burly man, who exuded a third-rank vibe, stepped out, over 1 million evolvers turned their gaze on him. Damn, this pressure is pretty intense. The burly man began to sweat coldly on his forehead. Knowing that these millions of gazes came from 3rd and 4th rank evolvers was no small matter. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, the burly man stepped onto the black racetrack. There was a slight change in the burly man's expression. He then took another step. 2 steps. 5 steps. After covering about 100 meters, the burly man finally stopped. It's gravity. As soon as you enter into the area of the black racetrack, you're placed in a gravitational field. The further you go, the stronger the gravity becomes. At this distance, the gravity I'm facing is approximately 5 to 7 times that of a normal planet. The burly man announced openly. He wasn't lying because the other evolvers would quickly realize the same truth with just a little testing. Chapter 112, The First Star Cave, Request for Subscription. _to a gravity area? This test is for the physical body? What a coincidence, my specialty is the physical body. Countless evolvers murmured softly, their eyes on the 100-mile black racetrack, each with a different expression. Merely 100 meters in and the gravity has reached 5 to 7 times? Near the finish line, won't the gravity reach thousands of times? A gold pattern evolver said thoughtfully. The closer to the finish line of the 100-mile black racetrack, the stronger the gravity. The gravity in the finishing area is at least 3,000 times. Just this fact alone can eliminate 70 to 80% of the evolvers. Another gold pattern evolver glanced at the eager silver pattern evolvers around him and thought silently. For a third-rank evolver, tens or hundreds of times the gravity poses no challenge. But once the number exceeds 1,000, it changes things. The range of gravity's effect extends to the organs and even to the cellular level. If one's physical body is only superficially strong or if their skin is just tough, facing such gravity is practically useless. So it's a test of gravity. Lin Yuan looked contemplative. This indeed is an excellent way to test the physical body. Compared to merely testing for strength or endurance, the challenge of gravity works from the outside in, eliminating many evolvers who rely solely on extreme physical strength. However, the furthest anyone has gone so far is less than 1 kilometer. I'm not in a hurry yet, let's see how the gravity intensifies further along. While Lin Yuan was pondering, over 1,000 evolvers had already voluntarily entered the black racetrack. Dozens of them had reached positions between 7 and 800 meters. And through communication, it was learned that in the 7 to 800 meter area, the gravity had already reached dozens of times. Half an hour later, 90% of the evolvers had stepped onto the black racetrack. Seeing this, Lin Yuan, finding nothing unexpected and confirming that the black racetrack was only influenced by gravity, also stepped onto it. 10 meters. 100 meters. 1,000 meters. 10,000 meters. Unbeknownst to him, Lin Yuan had walked 10,000 meters. This was approximately 1/5 the length of the 100-mile racetrack. Or in other words, 20-mile area. I'm finally starting to feel it. Lin Yuan thought to himself. The cultivation system of the divine arms world, though peculiar, did a fine job in tempering the physical body, from skin refinement to blood refining, organ refinement to bone refinement. One could say it had forged every part of the physical body. Thus, the gravity zone in the black racetrack did not exert much pressure on Lin Yuan. It was only after the first 10,000 meters that Lin Yuan grew slightly more solemn. And the gravity in that first 10,000 meter area had already exceeded 1,000 times. 1,000 times gravity, enough to instantly crush an ordinary citizen into dust. Ordinary first and second layer evolvers would not last a few seconds under such gravity. To Lin Yuan, however, this was nothing. Up to this moment he had relied entirely on his corporal body without resorting to any techniques, like deploying the Taiji domain, or secret techniques to temporarily enhance the strength of his physical body, etc. At the 20,000 meter mark of the black racetrack, I was one of the first evolvers to step onto the racetrack, having covered nearly half the length of the black path in several hours. This pace should rank me among the top few dozen, right? Chui Sita took a deep breath, stopped, and decided to rest for a bit. As a fourth-rank evolver under 100 years old, Chui Sita's strength was unquestionably the strongest on his planet. In both this and all past competitive bouts, there had been very few fourth-rank evolvers. On a middle-grade life planet like Kanglan Star, no fourth rank had appeared in tens of thousands of years. Initially, Chui Sita was quite confident. He came from a prominent family, familiar with the tests of the Chiquan Star Lord and the 7-star cave tests. But in the end, when he was drawn into the 7-star cave world, Chui Sita was unexpectedly given a silver pattern? The same silver pattern as those third-rank evolvers? This was unacceptable to Chui Sita. He did not dare to hope for the highest crimson pattern, but at least a gold pattern should have been within reach. From what Chui Sita knew, this time in the 7-star cave tests, all evolvers were within the 3rd and 4th rank. That is to say, those gold and crimson patterns like him, Chui Sita, were 4th-rank evolvers. Being of the same rank, why should they be gold or crimson patterns while he, Chui Sita, had only a silver pattern? The starting point does not account for everything. I, Chui Sita, will surely pass the 7 caves and join the Red Kuan lineage. Chui Sita steadied himself and struggled to move his right foot, intending to continue forward. Just then, Chui Sita heard faint footsteps. Is someone coming after us? Chui Sita turned around to look. He saw a young man approaching with light and steady steps, as if he were walking toward this side with no hurry at all. If it weren't for Chui Sita's certainty about the surrounding gravity having exceeded 2,000 times, he almost thought the young man was strolling in his own garden. How can he do it so effortlessly? Chui Sita couldn't believe it. To be fair, Chui Sita himself was already finding it tough. Although 2,000 times gravity wasn't his limit, he was far from being able to do it with ease. It's a gold pattern. Chui Sita observed a touch of gold on the side of the young man. Is this the golden pattern challenger designated by the Star Lord? Chui Sita quickly thought to himself. Not to mention other aspects, just this young man's performance meant he could completely crush Chui Sita in terms of physical prowess. It's terrifying, his speed has not changed from beginning to end. Chui Sita took a deep breath. Just as Chui Sita was observing Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan also turned his head and glanced at Chui Sita. I've seen Lord Gold Pattern. Chui Sita immediately turned around, disregarding the terrifying pressure around him, and bowed respectfully to Lin Yuan. There was no choice. The challenge of the first 7-star cave was to reach the black racetrack. That is to say, evolvers just needed to walk over the black racetrack. There was no rule saying they couldn't attack each other. Now, Chui Sita used most of his strength to resist gravity. With Lin Yuan maintaining an easy posture, his strength probably wasn't affected much. Under such circumstances, if Chui Sita dared to show disrespect, causing Lin Yuan to feel displeased, he could easily knock him out of the competition. This is the power of a golden pattern challenger. Chui Sita sighed and much of his dissatisfaction dissipated. Quite polite. Lin Yuan just glanced at Chui Sita and continued moving towards the front. Along the way, Lin Yuan kept overtaking evolvers, who mostly showed surprise and fear upon seeing him, fearing that Lin Yuan might suddenly attack them. Time passed. Lin Yuan entered the 40,000 meters zone. The entire black racetrack, 5/4 of it had already been walked. The gravity in this area had reached 4,000 times. Still bearable. Lin Yuan's speed remained unchanged, and up to now he had not used the Taiji field, relying solely on his body to resist gravity. Because Fang Qing once said everything in the 7-star cave challenge would be noticed by the 12 disciples of the Chiquan Star Lord. Since the first 7-star cave challenge was a test of physical body, Lin Yuan would use his body to resist. This way not only could it potentially enhance his evaluations, but at least it wouldn't decrease them. In the 40,000 meters zone hardly anyone could be seen. Oh, there's someone ahead. Lin Yuan walked a bit further and vaguely saw through the mist ahead, a figure walking, stopping with each step, seemingly adapting. Oh. Lin Yuan walked up and glanced at the other person. This was a woman with green hair, radiating some kind of ethereal aura. Moreover, she was also a golden pattern challenger. Hello. Seeing Lin Yuan looking at her, the green-haired woman visibly tensed. The gravity exceeding 4,000 times hadn't forced her to reveal all her cards, but Lin Yuan's condition was clearly better than hers, and it would be troublesome if he suddenly attacked. In other places you could still run if you couldn't beat them. But on the black racetrack, under the pressure of thousands of times of gravity, one's speed was reduced to the limit. Hello. Lin Yuan nodded. He continued maintaining his pace towards the finish line. Seeing this, the green-haired woman obviously sighed in relief. Several hours later, Lin Yuan smoothly finished the 100-mile racetrack and arrived at the second 7-star cave. Oh? Lin Yuan looked around. You're tuning in to the Phantom Sword Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.